What's going on, guys? Back from the Wrestling with This podcast here, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 300 of the YLP podcast. So glad to have you guys here with me. WrestleMania weekend, and wherever you may be, wherever you are, and the Whoa! Thank you guys so much for checking out this episode of the podcast. And as always, I greatly and truly appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday, April 9th, 10th, who gives a shit? 2021, we're on the eve, the precipice of WrestleMania 37 weekend. And you know, Mr. YLP could not come alone. And I brought a couple of friendies with me. To my left, the host, everyone's favorite best friend in the entire world, and of course, my boss, the wonderful one-third host of the Kings of the Rings podcast, King Rickie Rozay.
Hello, Mr. YLP. Thank you for having me on the show. Of course, this is King Rickie Rozay, the king of the Kings of the Rings podcast and the general manager of Wrestle Addict Radio, here to celebrate a big milestone, Mr. YLP. I believe on the precipice of WrestleMania. This is episode 300 for you.
Whew, that gave me chills, actually. But what really gave me chills, and I could not be happier, to my right, the everyday delight, the man, the myth, the damn legend himself, Mance Chapel.
What's up, guys? I am here. I got to remember how to do this. I haven't done this in
It's been a while.
I am the Monday Night Delight, Mance Chapel, the host, returning host, conquering host of the Delight Show. As you heard this past Wednesday, myself and my partner in crime, DK Murphy, we're back every week. And it's good to be back. I want to thank everybody who said a kind word, threw up a prayer, positive energy, a thought for my family in this time. And 300 episodes, my God. If you combine all the episodes of The Delight Show, The Gifted Podcast, Street Talk, the Shoot Style Podcast, and 966 Radio, I'm still coming up 100 episodes short of where you are right now. Also, why have I been on so many shows?
Yeah, I was about to say, you did a lot, didn't you?
Well, you know, when you're good at what you do, they make you keep doing it.
It's very true. With different people from around the world as well.
That's true. I have had an assortment of co-hosts. But I'm happy to have you guys here today.
Yes.
And I cannot believe that math is actually legit. 100, wow. But we ain't gonna talk about that. We are here for episode 300, and y'all, I mean, just before we even get into all the stuff we got, because we got a lot to talk about today. This for me is a number I've really wanted to hit, not only because I am a fan of the movie 300 and Sparta and all that good stuff, but this is one that I've wanted to have for quite some time. Because in where I am in my wonderful, morbid, twisted mind, that is me, the number 3 is a lucky number of mine in the Chinese zodiac. So it's a very, very big number for me, and one that I really wanted to hit, conquer, and surpass ever since I started this. Never did I think in my wildest dreams that I ever even think that I would even get to 300, much less 30 or anything of that matter. So to be here, WrestleMania weekend, episode 300 with 2 of my favorite people, and of course the rest of the Wrestle Addict Radio family, Kay, Will, Pretty Boy. It's an honor. It's an honor to be here, an honor to be part of the War family, and an honor to bring this to you, this wonderful beauty, this video, the audio, everything in between. I'm just thankful to have the opportunity to bring this to you every single week, every dang Friday. And we here. So, before I get all start, mushy and whatnot, we got some things to talk about. We got a lot of things to talk about today. Not only are we going to talk about, of course, WrestleMania 37, because WrestleMania 37, but we're going to talk about a little bit of news, a little bit of things, and we're going to kick things off with the big news, the rumor that has been around and everybody was thinking, could it happen? Could it be a big thing? NXT, April 13th, Tuesday nights. Whew. They said it couldn't be done. But unfortunately for me, it makes last week, this week.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about that off air.
That will be a wonderful conversation to have. But we are not here for any of that. We are here to talk about NXT on Tuesday nights, and I have to say, it was inevitable. The word is inevitable. I'm going to kick it off first. 2 minutes. I want to get your thoughts on NXT on Tuesday nights. What are you thinking? How you feeling about it? What's the move?
Well, I think it's the best move all around. It's the best thing for NXT because for the past year and a half, they've been coming up short on all but I think one occasion to AEW, and I believe AEW aired at 10 p.m. that night after the NBA. And even then, I think it was close. It's the best situation for AEW because there's a chunk of fans that are going to come over to AEW now. It's the best situation for Impact because now they're back on their classic night of Thursday, which they announced this week. It's the best thing for fans because given the choice, I watch AEW and then I watch the highlights of NXT. Well, now I'll probably watch NXT on Tuesday nights. I'll watch AEW. I'll have a house full of people that are upset that wrestling's on every night, but they'll be okay. It's the best. It's the best for everything around. I'm not so crazy with Hunter's comments that they were bullied off of Wednesday nights. They weren't bullied off of anywhere. They just lost. But they're doing the right thing, and it's going to be good. It's going to be good all around. I can't wait to see what happens. That first Tuesday night is going to have to be a big one because it's the first one after a takeover. It's the first one on Tuesday nights. They got to establish themselves on that night and see where it goes from here.
Yes. Rickie, your thoughts?
I didn't hear anything about the bullying comments, so that is news to me, but it is what it is. Fact of the matter is, it's a multi-year deal that they just reneged with USA Network. So that was in the works probably way before the rumor got out anyways. And according to the press release that they did, which I find very interesting because WWE doesn't really like to talk about numbers, but in the press release they talked about numbers. So according to the numbers, according to the press release, sorry, not according to the numbers, because, numbers can tell anything that you want the numbers to say for you. But they said they did an average of about 875 or something like that per Wednesday. But then they also mentioned that they did about 20% better when they did their Tuesday specials for NXT. So by that logic in and of itself, okay, yes, it makes sense for them to move over to Tuesday nights if they're doing better on Tuesday nights anyways, because remember they had the Super Tuesday special, which actually did really well and was a very, 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 very good show. So yes, this is a win-win. I don't think NXT even saw it as a war. I don't think they were bullied off. They had some pretty good moments. They got blown out of the water when they did the John Huber Memorial, but who wouldn't have watched that show anyways? But this is a win-win for everybody. So NXT gets a time to themselves, even though they were on Wednesdays first. They get a day to themselves. AEW gets a day to themselves. It's a win-win. Now it's a matter of who's going to start watching NXT that hasn't before, and who's going to start watching AEW that hasn't before. That's going to be the next big talking point. How are the numbers going to grow? If AEW was doing really well on Wednesdays, which they were by and large, can they get better now that they don't have quote-unquote competition next to them? That's what I'm really interested about.
I mean, absolutely. This is probably a move that everyone wins. We all win. Fans win. WWE wins. NXT wins. AEW wins. We all win because now we have dedicated nights for the entire week. Raw on Mondays, NXT Tuesdays, AEW on Wednesdays, Impact Thursdays, SmackDown Fridays. We get an entire work week of professional wrestling. This should have been the move, personally, in my opinion, from day one. But apparently there's someone that is the head of WWE that had other ideas, but that's neither here nor there. I think, though, NXT should have just been on Tuesdays. Like you said, Rickie, Super Tuesday stuff was fantastic. Hit big numbers. And proved to me once and for all. I was like thinking, why do we just put it on Tuesdays?
Because they were on Wednesday first. There was no need to move. AEW is a new kid on the block.
Oh
yeah, but I still think that it when they were moving from the internet to USA, that would have been the perfect time to make that change.
Sure.
Maybe they thought they could have held up and matched what AEW was going to do, but if you read the room at the time, they weren't going to, and they didn't. And I think that they've wasted, I don't say wasted, but I think the last year and a half, they could have been building that Tuesday night audience, and now they have to start from scratch here. They're gonna bring everybody for their Wednesday night crowd, that loyal 600,000. They're gonna go to Tuesday nights. How many of the 800,000 that watch AEW is gonna start watching Tuesday nights? I'm one of them. That's one. Let's start to count there. Mm-hmm. Let's see how many else go there.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing vice versa. So how many are from AEW are going to go to NXT? How many from NXT are going to start watching AEW? It is going to be a win-win. I think both numbers are going to jump, especially the initial first week after Mania, because everybody's going to be riding that high. And what I think NXT does well is that when they are put in pressure situations where they have to do something that they forces them to stand out, I think they are going to, no pun intended, stand and deliver. Think about Halloween Havoc they knocked it out of the park with Halloween Havoc. Great American Bash was for the most part a pretty good show. In Your House was a fantastic show.
Fantastic show.
So I think when they are put up against the wall and they have to do something different and innovative, there is no more innovative brand in wrestling in the past 5 years than NXT. So I have faith in NXT. I'll be completely honest, and if you listen to the show, you'll know that I don't always watch AEW, but now I am more inclined to do so because I was watching wrestling on Wednesdays anyways.
Yeah, and I mean, for me too, most of the time I would be watching AEW on Wednesday nights as opposed to watching NXT later on during the week. That's kind of how I would go about things. Now, for me, myself, and for last week, this week, I'll be able to watch it Tuesday nights without issue, Wednesday nights without issue, and then have the rest of the week to do whatever the hell I feel like.
And NXT UK is on Thursdays too, by the way.
3 p.m. on the Peacock Network now.
3 p.m.
Yes.
You know what I'm doing at 3 p.m.? I'm working. I don't have time for English. Here's the only problem that happens for the Delight Show and NXT now. If something awesome happens on NXT, you're now getting it on an 8-day delay. So this effectively kills any NXT coverage on my show.
Yeah,
that's except takeovers. But that's it.
The future of I will say this, and the future of the war schedule and everything there's going to be a massive discussion about this because the wrestling schedule has put all of our shows in a flux right now. Like I don't know what's going to happen.
That is true. But as I said at the beginning, I can be the Monday Night Delight any day of the week. Don't put me on Mondays because the joke dies. But put me anywhere else, and it'll be fine.
I mean, RVD did the same thing, and whatever day he was on, he was still the Delight, correct?
Yeah.
Monday Night Delight every day of the week.
We'll
That's a tagline. That's a tagline, though. I'd put that on a T-shirt and sell it, ladies and gentlemen.
You just might.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Just in general, we win. Fans, we win. No matter what. W for everybody, because now there is no discrepancies, no having to go back and watching a show. You get to watch it live on your telly for all my UK squadron out there and just enjoy it. This is the best thing that honestly could have happened to professional wrestling. We get an entire work week worth of just wrestling. And I think at the end of the day, that's all that truly matters. We just want to watch good wrestling any day of the week. It doesn't matter. From Sunday to Saturday, doesn't matter. We're gonna win, and that's all that matters.
Correct.
But we shall move on from NXT on Tuesdays. I think we just finished beating that dead horse. I think that bigger news even came out not so long ago. Chris Jericho, ladies and gentlemen, this came out last week. I'm on Instagram, flipping through my phone, just trying to see, what random Japan wrestling thing I see from Kota Ibushi's title, which I won't even talk about here. That's off-air stuff. But then we see the news. Chris Jericho appearing on the WWE Network, interviewing with Stone Cold Steve Austin on the Broken Skulls podcast that will premiere after the second night of WrestleMania 37. Rickie, I'm starting off with you. Give me your thoughts.
When I was at work when I saw this, and I immediately just started throwing it out to a bunch of people. Obviously, our Patreon member Jermaine, who just is like the man on the scene at the most random times. Like, it's always breaking news in our Patreon chat. So shout out to Jermaine for doing this. And I was like, no way. And then I checked Instagram and I saw and I just started blowing up to people. And I know at the time you were still away, and I have this rule of like not hitting up our people when you guys are on vacation. But I was like, Zach's got to know about this. Like, he's got to know about this. It was the announcement in and of itself is mind blowing at this day and age. The way that they did the announcement, and there's only a couple of people in wrestling that can do a no-word promo and everybody knows what's going on. Shawn Michaels did it on NXT the other week, and it was brilliant. You know, they put this together, and they knew people were going to lose their minds. You had the Austin logo. You had, obviously, the Jeritron, or whatever the Jericho countdown clock was, like the original year 2000 Jericho countdown clock with the year 2000 Jericho like countdown theme, and it just panned out, and it was Austin and Jericho just looking at you, asking you, what are you going to do about it? And it's brilliant. It is a brilliant move. It's brilliant that they're getting Jericho on here in a non-wrestling format, which I think is a good move for everybody involved. Not that I'm saying Jericho's bad in the ring, but I'm just saying it's good that way. It's a brilliant move by the brass at WWE to not only have him on, but have him on the network, where you can only watch the show on the network. And guess what? You're just going to get people in those last minute buys to get signed up to Peacock, because guess what? I want to see what Jericho has to say on the WWE Network to Stone Cold. You have a diehard WWE legend in Stone Cold. You have pretty much the Benedict Arnold for some people in Chris Jericho moving over to AEW, the inaugural AEW champion, the first big grab by Cody and friends to AEW. Now he's back. And your mind's going crazy. What is Jericho going to be talking about? What is Stone Cold going to grill him about? What is Jericho going to hide up? Like, there's a lot of stuff that's happened in the past year with Chris Jericho in general, inside and outside of the ring. And there's a lot of stuff that he's been public about, especially everything with AEW, calling himself a demo god and all of this stuff. So it's a win. It's a huge win for WWE. It's a huge get. And depending on how Jericho plays this interview, it could be a huge win for AEW, but that's yet to be determined.
Man, let me know what's going on. What you're thinking.
First of all, I'm allowed to listen to things at work, and so I'm listening to, and don't judge me, the Wrestling Observer live show. And they, I know, they break this news, and I'm like, I heard something incorrectly. So I look this up, and I see the countdown clock, and I see this, and I realize up is down, left is right, cats and dogs living. Nothing makes sense anymore. Vince McMahon apparently just loves Chris Jericho, because if you remember, the last time we saw Chris Jericho was the greatest Royal Rumble, and he was the 50th guy in, and he wore his Alpha Club t-shirt to the ring.
Got away with it.
For Jericho. Yes, big win for Jericho there. I was like, okay, Vince is either A, not paying attention, or just loves Chris Jericho. And here, Vince either A, loves Chris Jericho, or B, doesn't realize Jericho doesn't work there anymore. Something's weird here. I about 50% believe they're going to do this whole interview and not say the letters AEW.
That is a high possibility.
But I see them do it. On the other hand, I'm intrigued, and I'm gonna watch 4 hours of WrestleMania, and then I'm gonna sit and watch an hour and a half interview, and then I'm gonna get up and go to work the next morning, because it's gonna be worth it, and I gotta know what to say, because this is two of my favorite wrestlers all time, and I gotta see what happens. They're gonna draw people in. People are going to want to see this. This is going to bring eyes to Peacock. If WrestleMania doesn't, this will.
Yes.
It's weird, but it's so good.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Like, for me, in general, when Rickie sent me this last week, and I'm just, like, looking at it, I'm looking, and I'm, like, just sitting there, just waiting for 3 o'clock to hit on my phone, and I'm looking at it. I almost threw my phone 4 times during the entire hit, and I'm thinking, like, this is a lie. Let me watch this again. Hold on. And I looked at it again, and I had to put my screen back on because my whole phone goes off, and I watched it again, and I'm thinking this is about to break all types of minds, bodies, souls, and everything else in between, because this is a huge interview for the Broken Skulls podcast. This is one that I don't think anyone saw coming, period. I didn't see it coming. Rickie, I know you definitely didn't see it coming. Mance, I know you didn't see it coming. And the announcement was perfect. Everything they did was perfect. I was playing Fozzy in my head, just every song I could think of on my Pandora playlist, and flabbergasted beyond just my mind exploded like, whoa! Just didn't know inside this. This is huge. And man, like you said, if WrestleMania doesn't get you in the door for Peacock, which I actually just put in my account last week, this will get you in the door. I mean, yeah, I'll watch The Office whenever I feel like. That's perfectly fine. But this is going to get you in the door. This will get you your buys. They played this wonderfully. Very, very smart by WWE and Peacock. And now we're going to get the entire interview with Jericho. And I think, Rickie, like you said, if they mention the letters AEW, I'll be very shocked. I hope there's a prop bet in Las Vegas somewhere for this, because I would love to put some money on this and see if they say it. If there's an over-under on how many times they may say AEW, and I hope the over-under is set at 2.
Well,
so I can just play and call it.
Yeah, well, now that DraftKings is a partner with WWE, you can probably actually make a bet on it legitimately.
There's a prop bet for it right there.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, speaking of which, and I know this is not one of the topics that we have on the docket for today, Rickie, I think you sent me this a little while back with the DraftKings WWE coming together. So you may have a little bit more information. Bring that up real quick and just let the people know, just in case y'all don't know what's going on with DraftKings and WWE.
If you haven't heard by now, WWE has officially partnered with DraftKings as their pretty much a legal way to bet on wrestling for the most part. Their partnership focuses primarily, and this is very crucial, focuses primarily on free-to-play pools. So we're like, okay, you can bet on wrestling, but we're not going to say that you're gambling on wrestling. Either way, this can open up the doors for a lot of stuff, especially with the prospect of, WrestleMania going to Vegas, where you're gonna bet on wrestling. I feel like this is them kind of just testing the waters, but it's also, in a backwards conspiracy theorist way, of figuring out what the average fan thinks is going to happen before it happens. I think this could be kind of like a little. It's like the Furby spy conspiracy, where you thought the microphone was live all the time with Furbies, if you remember it. Unless I'm the one that's showing my age.
No, I remember. I just hadn't heard it in a while.
But I think it's a cool move. Like, I've never been into DraftKings or like any of the DraftKings or whatever the other one was for like really betting on stuff. I'll do like a Bleacher Report, like whatever free to play thing, but like, I'm interested. Like, I'm going to do DraftKings for Mania. Why the hell not? If it's free to play, that's just going to get me in the door.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm even looking at it right now from MSN.com.
Yeah.
Quote, at the end of 2020, DraftKings said their online sports betting market share is 30%, while the iGaming market share is 19%. They estimate they can actually earn as much as $5 billion to $7.3 billion in North American online sports betting and all that good stuff. That's just numbers, and it's a great thing for DraftKings to actually be involved with WWE.
Yeah.
For us, I am a DraftKings player. I'm also a FanDuel player.
That's the other one. That's the other one. It's FanDuel.
Purposes, but now to see WWE and DraftKings coming together in this agreement, this is huge for fans and the DraftKings players alike. They already do, of course, UFC. They do NBA, NHL, college basketball, all that good stuff. So now when you add WWE to it, not only does this mean big money for DraftKings, this means huge money for WWE across the board. And for those of you who have possible stock in WWE and DraftKings, you might want to get yourself some more shares. I am not a stock analyst whatsoever, but I'm just thinking with common sense, logic, reasoning, and rational thought, you might want to get in on this one like it was GameStop. Just putting it out there.
Yes, and something else to think of as well. Included in this agreement, it's not just doing free to play on DraftKings. DraftKings also gets sponsorship opportunities and rights to a lot of WWE upcoming pay-per-views and programming. So they're going to be like the Snickers of WrestleMania. You will see events from WWE sponsored by DraftKings. You will see DraftKings logo at WWE events moving forward. This is a big get for everybody.
Man, what are your thoughts on this? Like DraftKings and WWE, does this go hand in hand? Is this peanut butter and jelly to you?
I don't know. This is the first I've heard of it, so I'm processing this. I'm not a sports betting person. If I'm gambling, I'm in a casino. So this doesn't. I don't understand sports betting in general. The people quote lines, the sports lines to me. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. On the other hand, this is going to reach out to a whole group of people who do sports betting, who understand it. And it's going to open another door for people to get eyes on WWE, because I do know that when I play fantasy football, I watch a whole lot more NFL. So if I'm betting on something, I'm going to pay more attention to it. Is it a good thing? We'll have to see. But, I mean, anything that gets more eyes on the product is what they're going to do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, are we saying we're opening that forbidden door, perhaps?
Maybe.
Oh, my goodness. I'm so tired of that phrase.
So am I.
But if the forbidden doors, anything's going to open the forbidden door, it's Jericho and Austin.
Absolutely.
But,
yeah. I have some news about this too. I was just reading this the other day or today when we're doing this. So according to a source that is quoting Austin, so take this with a grain of salt. Austin approached Vince McMahon with this idea via like text message and stuff, and he said, "Hey, can I have Chris Jericho on my show?" And Vince says, "Go ahead, I don't care." And Austin's like, "Well, you know, Vince is, you know, texting with Vince is one thing, but like speaking to him is another thing." So he contacted Vince again for a double confirmation, and Vince gave the okay for it. So everybody who's
and then don't ever bring it up again, because he'll realize.
Good, we're done. I got it.
Yeah, so it's very interesting, and you know, obviously, like we said, you know, the marketing machine of this being on WrestleMania weekend is just a huge get for everybody. It was crazy when this came out too, because even my co-host Will was like, "It's got to be an April Fool's joke," but I was like, "It's April 2nd." Like,
see, that's what I thought too. I checked the date when I heard this.
There you go. That's just wild to me to think. You know, you got Jericho on here, and it's just gonna be so wild because you're thinking like AEW fans are gonna be watching this. You know, if you're a fan of professional wrestling, you're gonna watch this interview, whether you watch it that night, the day after, or soon after that. You're gonna be watching this interview. Because we want to know what Jericho is going to say. What is Austin going to ask him about? What is he going to grill him on? You know, what are they going to say? What will be those highlights? You know, because I know at my job, I got a few people that I work with that are wrestling fans, hardcores, older heads, and they're just like, yeah, we like this. I don't know their thoughts on it because I don't think I've talked to them about it just yet. But this is just for everybody, for casuals, hardcores, all of that in between. You're going to watch this interview, whether you want to or somebody's going to force you. I hopefully not by gunpoint or anything else of that matter, because we don't promote that here at Wrestle Addict Radio. We don't promote that on Wrestle Addict Radio.
It's on Sunday. It's the day of the Lord, you know, obviously. Another thing as well, before we pivot past this, is that it was mentioned to me from Will as well, my co-host, that this isn't anything new for Austin. Austin's had Jericho on his podcast. Austin's had Tony Khan on his podcast. The difference here is that This is the Austin podcast that is exclusively made for the WWE Network. This is a completely different monster than Austin's separate podcast that he does very well. This is something that is produced directly for WWE, and to have a non-contracted wrestler, whether it be Chris Jericho or anybody else on the network, willingly, and having them, what I'm assuming is openly speaking about whatever, because you know Austin's going to get Jericho to drink, and Jericho loves to drink. You know that. You know.
That's true.
And willingly getting Jericho on here and drinking and talking. This is going to be a big thing. You know, but we're going to have to wait to see what happens with this. Let's move on.
I'm gonna, yeah, exactly. Hey, slow down there, Chief. This is my show. But yes, we shall move on. And along with all of that news, I think we can start to ease into the WrestleMania stuff, but not before we talk about Andrade, CN Almas, or whatever the hell they're going to call him outside of WWE, because that man, he gone. Andrade has been released from the WWE last week or sometime beforehand, and this was not a bombshell announcement, at least to me personally. But when I found out Andrade was being released from WWE, my first initial thought was, good. He wasn't really being utilized as much as I would have personally liked him to be. I was a huge Andrade fan, especially in NXT, with the way they used him in storyline, you know, before he got past the whole Chippendales situation there, and we don't talk about that here in the YLP realm of Wrestle Addict Radio Land. But added in Zelina Vega, that became a whole deal, became NXT champion, had banger matches, take over Philadelphia for one against Johnny Gargano, which was, in my opinion, one of the best matches that he ever had in WWE.
A Wrestling Observer 5-star match.
That was
yes,
a 5-star?
it was. It was a 5-star. It was a big deal that was a 5-star.
That's a really big deal, because we know Meltzer nowadays handing out 5 stars like it's freaking Halloween candy. 6 stars if you talk about Omega Okada anywhere in the freaking world, but that's a whole different story for another day. Mance, your thoughts on Andrade's release from WWE?
It sounds strange to say, but I'm happy for him because he's been sitting in catering for months now. Find him something to do somewhere. And let him do it because he does it great. One thing I don't want to see, and maybe one-off is fine, but he does not need to go all elite immediately.
No, absolutely.
That is a big pond full of big fish right now.
Yes.
If he's going to stay in the United States and wrestle, and considering he's engaged to Charlotte, he's probably going to stay in the United States. There's 2 great places he can go. One is connected to the big pond. He can go to Impact. They could do some good stuff with him in Impact, or he can go to Ring of Honor, and Lord knows they could use him in Ring of Honor.
Somebody needs to save Ring of Honor.
Yes, they
have
do.
some fantastic.
For real.
You know, and actually, with NWA Power coming back, he could go the NWA. I could go for some Andrade Nick Aldis matches, to be real honest with you.
Ooh, he needs opponents.
That he does.
So,
I mean,
yeah. Sorry, and then one other thing that everybody's saying, and it'll be good if it happens, but I think she could do a lot of great stuff on her own. He doesn't need to be immediately hooked back up with the Trinidad. It would be great, but I would like to see what she can do someplace else. And on the flip of that same coin, if she were to pop up in All Elite in their women's division, I think that would be
because they need all the help they can get.
That would actually be a solid idea. Y'all, if y'all heard the YLP podcast on many occasions, y'all know my thoughts on the AEW women's division as a whole. Ricky, thoughts, man? How you feeling?
It's funny that you say he was sitting in catering. If you listen to the first podcast that he was on after his release, he was making $3 million a year. So if you told me I could make $3 million a year while sitting and doing nothing in catering, I'd probably do it. I get like his passion is his passion, but like $3 million a year is a lot for me. $3 million a year is a lot for anybody, But I mean, kudos to him for saying that money isn't an option for him, and that doesn't hold weight to him when it comes to something that he's passionate about and this is his art form and he wants to do this because he loves it. There's something to be said about that. There's also something to be said for the fact that once Zelina Vega got fired, Andrade was dead in the water. Zelina Vega was Andrade's meal ticket. It wasn't Charlotte Flair. It was Zelina Vega. She was perfect for him. And like you can look what happened to Angel Garza. Have you seen Angel Garza since Zelina got fired? Nope.
No.
You know, so that's the thing.
I had to think about it for a second. No, I haven't. I forgot he was.
That's the shame about this whole thing.
No, she was the act. Right. She was the biggest part of the act. He was the wrestler, but she was the personality. And I think that's a shame because he could do the personality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Zelina was the personality, and that's why I want him to go somewhere without her. And if he takes the Drew McIntyre path back to the WWE, great. Because as long as Charlotte is still there, the door will be open. But if he needs to go and do the Drew McIntyre thing, the Bobby Lashley thing, go and do and come back, I'm okay with that. But he's got to go and do.
Yeah, they'll be right there waiting for him, 100%. And that's the best part about it. He can go the Drew McIntyre route, do some things outside of WWE, go to the Ring of Honors, go to the Impact. Hell, I would love to see him go back as La Sombra in NJPW and try to get that World Heavyweight Championship, or maybe the never open weight title. Y'all know how much I'm a mark for the New Japan deal. But, I mean, that may not be the case. We'll see how that goes. We already know we've seen a picture of him possibly signing a contract somewhere. If he does stay in America, I think I'm gonna side with Mance on this. NWA would be one hell of a landing spot for Mr. Almas. Personally, I think they really need the bump, and like you said, Mance, him and Aldis can have some absolute bangers of matches, and Aldis needs opponents. That man's been holding that title for 8 years now. How long has it been? I don't know, but I mean,
actually, I do know this. I believe it's been with the exception of about the 45 days that Cody held it, starting it all all in, not all out. Yeah. He's held it for about 4.5 years, if memory serves.
That's wild.
And he's just been running through guys.
That is NWA World Title reigns for your ass. You know, trying to keep it friendly, YouTube purposes, but sometimes you got to say a little curse word here and there just to keep it, a little bit exciting. At the end of the day, though, Andrade, I think this is the best move for Andrade. Mance, you're correct in saying he does not need to be brought back with Thea Trinidad. That doesn't need to happen. If there's any other talent in WWE that should ask for their release, there is only one other person I believe that needs to say it, and that man is none other than Mr. Aleister Black. I would just love to see him go up to Vince and just be like, you know what? I'm being as underutilized as it possibly could. I'm chilling in Titus Catering. I'm not doing much of anything on SmackDown or Raw or whatever the hell brand I'm at right now. I need to go. I need to be Tommy End. There is no other way. You're going to tell me that you have guys like Aleister Black, you have the Ricochets, you have the Angel Garzas, you have all this talent in WWE, what they call the greatest roster of talent in the history of the company, and you're not utilizing them. This is just another lesson for all of y'all out there, who love WWE and all that stuff. Let them know, hey, they don't use everybody. And it's quite unfortunate, especially talent like Andrade that come up from NXT, have somewhat a good amount of prominence from there, have a little bit of, good run initially, and then just seem to fall off the planet and head just straight towards the Pluto where no one ever sees them again. It's quite a sad thing for a lot of us. I'm a big fan of Andrade. I'm sure you guys, were digging Andrade too as well. It's just very unfortunate for someone like Andrade, who had, I personally think, a lot of promise in the company that could have held a world title, that could have had a couple more mid-card title reigns, that could have done something of value. Hell, I would have loved to see him on WrestleMania's card this year. There would have been a lot of spots for him both nights to possibly get something there, but unfortunately that's how the cookie crumbles, and that's how things go down sometimes in WWE. We here at WrestleMania Radio, of course, wish that man the very best in his future endeavors, and I hate saying that quote, but it has to be said, unfortunately.
I will say this one thing about Ricochet. Ricochet lost a spot to a guy named Reginald, that's all.
Oh damn!
God,
Really? I saw I saw
Ricochet-
Reginald versus
Ricochet
Sasha
from-
Banks, and I was like, wow, that's exactly what Ricochet can do. Wow. I guess Ricochet's still in catering.
That's crazy.
Yeah, maybe Aleister Black and Ricochet need to do some asking. I don't know.
Oh no!
Talent's
just saying.
talent's
Do
one
a
thing
lot
you gotta
more
appeal to
elsewhere.
an audience, though.
Oh, go the James Ellsworth route. You'll be just fine. You'll actually
Listen,
get a world
any
title
man's
match.
with
Who
two
knows?
hands. Hey,
That's
he
just
almost
me.
that false finish was fantastic. I will say that till the day I die. James Ellsworth versus AJ Styles had me on the edge of my seat after one super kick. Okay,
That's true. And I don't
Yeah.
disagree. I hate it, but I don't disagree.
You hate it. That's the thing. You hate to love it, but you know it's good when you
Yeah.
see it. That's the best part about that James Ellsworth run. Where he's been, we don't know, but we're glad he was there for the time he was. That's all I'm saying. Keep it a buck.
Man capitalized on an opportunity. He went from jobber to unforgettable in the span of a week.
The man was
Who would've
he
thought?
won the first
He
Money in the
did.
Bank match.
He's a history maker.
That's true. That is some
You
history
know how
for you.
much money he made off that T-shirt? He had to have made just buckets of money off a T-shirt with
And
his
no
face
chin.
on it. Good for him. And good for him. But totally.
Enough to know he will never have to work a day in his life ever again in the wrestling business if he
Yeah.
felt like it. Oh my God, I love it. See, that's what you get here on the 300th episode of the YLP podcast. But that is not why you're here, but we're here for it anyway. But let's us pivot to the real reason we are here for episode 300. And I'm going to bring it over to me before we talk about WrestleMania. There's always this thing that I have every single year, and I'm of the opinion, this may be unpopular to a lot of people. I have felt since I would think the last 5 years or so that NXT has absolutely just straight dominated. Every single time there's been a Big Four weekend. Of course, just in case you plebs don't know what that is, that would be Royal Rumble, that would be WrestleMania, that would be SummerSlam, and that would be Survivor Series. And every single time, at least except the one, which would be TakeOver San Antonio and Royal Rumble weekend, NXT is straight up dominated every single time. And I had that feeling in the pit of my stomach once again. NXT may literally stand and deliver. The question I pose to you, Rickie, do you believe NXT has the better card, or does WWE WrestleMania have this one in the bag as we enter into WrestleMania weekend? Of course, we already have Stand Deliver already taken place. That's been done. How do you feel, though, about both cards and which one
I will
has the
say
better
this:
card?
when it comes to WrestleMania weekends, NXT has always pushed WWE to its limits. I mean, if you look back at some of the documentaries, I think especially after Dallas, when they did the 24 for TakeOver Dallas, Triple H came to the back and he was like, I told you guys to show them up, but not totally make it like unattainable for them to do a better show. which is exactly what happened. And the only other times that I think WWE show at WrestleMania was better than TakeOver in the last couple of years was WrestleMania 35 in New York. I thought was a top to bottom one of the best shows I have ever seen live in person, minus a couple of matches, but like they had everything that you pretty much wanted to happen, and the icing on the cake with Kofi winning and beating Daniel I thought was great, and nothing they did at TakeOver was going to top that. And arguably Orlando was a so-so show compared to what was happening at WrestleMania 33 that year. Be that as it may, for this year, it is really hard for me to be more excited for WrestleMania compared to TakeOver. I think in general, TakeOver has had a better controlled and better paced build than what WrestleMania has, or what they've been doing to build WrestleMania. I think NXT is just a cleaner product. They're very clean in their stories. You know what they're doing. You know where they're going to go. You know how the setup is. And usually everybody who's in those spots knows how to sub those spots and make this a big thing. Freaking Raquel threw Io Shirai through a drywall. And I was like, I'm sold. Like, let's do this. Like, I am sold. And unfortunately this year, because this happens from time to time, I'm just not really sold on some of the stuff in Mania. I was excited after Rumble, but then, storylines got a little bit convoluted and things kind of got muddied up and cluttered. So at this moment in time, depending on what they do on Saturday and Sunday, I would say for right now, NXT is the more exciting, better put together card than WrestleMania. I will say, if you listen to WrestleMania on War as well, he has been following the setup to what people have said has been the greatest WrestleMania of all time, WrestleMania X7. And by the way, that one had a very late build as well. So you can make chicken salad out of chicken shit sometimes. So you never know what's going to happen.
Yes, sir. Man, better card. NXT can deliver. Mania.
I am excited about WrestleMania. Because there are a bunch, like the solo title matches I'm excited for. The three-way, with Daniel Bryan and Roman and Edge, I think it's going to be great. Lashley and Drews, I think it's going to be great. Bianca and Sasha, Asuka and Rhea, I am excited about all of these. But there are two words that trump all of them, and that is Ciampa and Walter. That match alone makes me more excited for NXT than all of WrestleMania weekend. Then you add on Karrion Kross. I'm going to call him Killer Kross. Karrion Kross and Finn. You add on Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. You add on Gargano and this whole mess with the Gauntlet. It's such good stuff. Io and Raquel. You can build all that, but if it was just 2 nights of Walter and Ciampa, I'd still say that'd be better. I was there in New York when Walter defeated Pete Dunne.
That wasn't all right, Mr. Mance. That was not a defeat. That was a decimation of Peter Dunne.
It was a decimation. I'm sitting 2 rows from the top of the Barclays, and when he chopped that man, I felt it.
Everyone in mom felt it. What do you mean?
That's true.
Outside watching it at home felt it.
Like, what is that? No, but I had never seen Walter. I did not watch NXT UK. I had never seen Walter before, and all of a sudden I was like, okay, that is now one of my favorite wrestlers on the planet. I cannot wait to see what these two men do to each other, and I know in my heart, if you listen to the predictions I made this past Wednesday, I know Walter's going to win, and I'm sad about it, but I cannot wait to see what is left of these two men after they kill each other. Yes, NXT TakeOver stand delivered. Better card, hands down, Walter and Ciampa, and everything else.
And just looking at the card alone, I mean, we already know what Stand Deliver happened both nights. It's Friday, all that good stuff. I just want to recap the card for you. This is just night 1. Pete Dunne Kushida.
Oh my God!
Came up just.
I forgot about that
during that Battle Royal, and just went off the premise of Pete Dunne says he's the best technical wrestler right now going in the game. Kushida says, nah, fam, my little PC man bun over here is flyer than, whatever you got going on with your hair back there. That is on the card. That MSK, Grizzly Young Veterans, Legado del Fantasma, 3 of the top tag teams, especially coming out of the tournament, as they had the Dusty Cup Classic. Absolutely, these 3 teams are just some of the best. And like I said on the YLP podcast, the Dusty Classic was the resurrection of the NXT Tag Team Division. They did it back in 2018, and now we got the Tag Team Division back where it belongs, prominently on NXT. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen, on that. You had the Gauntlet Eliminator match just to determine who would face Gargano on night 2. Walter versus Ciampa for the NXT UK Championship. Then you had Shirai Gonzalez for the women's title, and that's just night 1. Was night 1. Night 2, you had the NXT Women's Tag Team titles with Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart versus The Way. You had the unsanctioned match, Cole versus O'Reilly, and that has been built perfectly.
I will say this before you continue. That is one of the best video packages for a match I have ever seen in my life.
Chef's kiss on that. You had, of course, Johnny Gargano facing the winner of the Gauntlet Eliminator. You had the unification of the Cruiserweight Championship, a match I have been wanting since the whole pandemic started. I've been asked. Well, personally, I was wanting Santos Escobar versus Kushida, but then when you got Kushida out of the damn way, Devlin Escobar was the money match. And if y'all have been listening to me on the YLP podcast, I just got to say it again. I've been clamoring for this. I've been wanting Devlin Escobar because we needed to know who the true cruiserweight king is. And the fact that we had NXT cruiserweights on NXT has just been brilliant. And then Balor Cross, a match we have been needing since literally TakeOver 30 last August was the one match I had been telling everyone, this was your match. This was the money match. This was the match you needed for WrestleMania weekend, and we got it. And how this destroys anything WrestleMania has. I mean, honestly, ladies and gentlemen, do you really want to see Strowman versus Shane McMahon in a steel cage? Let's be real with ourselves.
I forgot.
We're gonna mention that.
And you're welcome. I tried not to, but for sake of the bit, I had to. I mean, New Day versus AJ Styles and Omos.
Yes. Yes, absolutely, yes. That's going to be a great match. Okay, that is going to be a great match. Don't you knock it. Almost is going to show out.
Too late. I knocked it the second the Hurt Business lost the title.
I cannot compete, and I'm going to say this right now, even though we're not talking about Mania yet. I cannot go against Kofi. I cannot go against Xavier Woods of a New Day. They always do something spectacular, and I cannot go against the Shawn Michaels of his generation, AJ Styles. You put AJ Styles anywhere in WrestleMania, he shows out. His first match with Jericho at WrestleMania 32, fantastic. He opened up WrestleMania 33 with Shane McMahon and put on a freaking classic. Okay, minus the blinding lights at WrestleMania 35, him and Randy was freaking fantastic as well.
we were going to talk about that.
You conveniently skipped AJ and Shinsuke.
That was a good match. That was a good match. I mean, balls aside, that was a great match.
That's where he put them to the side.
That started the whole heel turn with Shinsuke, and to this day, I still want to throw up in my mouth thinking about that. It's just there's no way that personally WrestleMania competes with NXT's going to deliver what they brought in the last 2 years. There's just absolutely not this year. I mean, night 2 could possibly compete, but night 1 possible. But anyway, since we're on the topic of WrestleMania, let us get into the WrestleMania preview. And before I bring it over to, of course, the illustrious, wonderful man that is Rickie, I just want to get this out of the way. With the Hurt Business, there was some news that came out that we found out that Vince McMahon, of all people, in his wonderful wisdom and thought process that is that man's brain, was the reason the Hurt Business pretty much was just gone. And I wouldn't be Mr. YLP himself if I didn't give y'all a damn rant for about a couple minutes, if I may, Mr. Manson, Mr. King.
It's your show. We're in your world.
It's your show, man.
I'm trying to keep it together. I don't want to say too many expletives. I don't know if it's
just deep breathing techniques. That's I can teach you a bunch of those. It's fine.
Forgot psychology is your thing.
But speak your truth. It's all right. Catharsis is great. I love it.
Goose fraba. Okay. Vince McMahon, you're an absolute dope. Okay? The Hurt Business was literally the best thing you had going on Monday Night Raw. Hands down, and I think both men can agree with me on that statement. You, sir, are 800 years old.
75, maybe.
You don't have any more. Whatever. As Bianca Belair said, you don't go here anymore. I can't believe I actually just did that.
Wow.
We're running with it.
Who are you?
I know. Mr. Wildby himself. That's who I am. But this is an absolute tragedy because, as y'all know, I do not watch Monday Night Raw. I think it is just a waste of my time and a waste of my brain matter, and drops my IQ points by at least 25 every single time I watch at least 5 minutes of it. And there is no possible way in this game right now, when you have a top heel stable or face, depending on who you ask, like the Hurt Business, and you're just going to break them up. when you have a talent like Cedric Alexander that was literally in obscurity after the cruiserweight division pretty much, just disintegrated on Raw, and now you had him in a stable of prominence. You had him somewhere where he was thriving, where he was working with a veteran like Shelton Benjamin. Personally, one of my favorites ever in WWE. I love that man. Even with the gold hair, I love Shelton Benjamin. Yes, I said it. The gold hair was fly.
Oh yeah. The gold standard Shelton.
Yeah. The gold standard. With a man like MVP as the mouthpiece for the group, and he wasn't even the CEO because that was Bobby damn Lashley, the current reigning and defending WWE champion. When you have a stable of 4 guys that gave me vibes of the Nation of Domination, even though it wasn't, this was, especially as a black man, I saw this group and I saw greatness in the future of the Hurt Business. And you, Vince, you, of all people, should have seen that and thought in your mind, I can make buku money off of this. And for some reason, you thought, maybe I should just split them up and just think it's a grand idea and just let Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander be in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal that is supposed to be tonight on SmackDown. Vomit-inducing moment, insert here, and just let MVP and Bobby Lashley go on the Mania. There is no possible way on God's green earth that you don't think in your infinite wisdom that you couldn't make money off this. You had the T-shirts ready. I know you did. You had the catchphrases. You had the little kids pining, ready at the bit to watch these 4 men go into, after WrestleMania, handle business, do work, put work in, holding gold. Okay? Even if MVP wasn't even going to wrestle anymore, give that man that United States Championship, because I don't know how we feel about Riddle at this very moment with that United States Championship, but the mid-card is dead as it is on Raw. There is no possible way the Hurt Business wasn't going to make money. There was just no way. And for him, this goon, this buffoon, this idiot, to believe in his mind that the Hurt Business was better split than they were together is asinine. 10, 11, 12, and 13 to quote Skip Bayless.
You really quoted Skip Bayless? You really quoted Skip Bayless. Wow. You went from Stephen A to Skip Bayless in the same rant. I have to rethink everything I know about you. I will give you this devil's advocate for the sake of discussion, obviously, since this is a podcast that in of itself. First off, old buffoon, whatever it is, this man has required in the last 5 years 3 $1 billion contracts. Okay. Two $1 billion television contracts with 2 major television companies, and also a $1 billion streaming service contract that he just solidified in January. And yes, you're gonna fail, but this man keeps on trying. Fact of the matter is, when you think about the Hurt Business, and if we're going to be honest about said Hurt Business, the Hurt Business was created to make Bobby Lashley look like a star, and guess what? It did its job. It's held all of its titles. You had the U.S. title under the Hurt Business. You had the tag team titles under the Hurt Business, and guess what? We got Bobby a little bit prematurely winning the WWE Championship, but we got him to the mountaintop. He is at the almighty mountaintop. What do you have to do with the Hurt Business anymore? What is there for them to do? They did their job. And according to MVP on Twitter, the Hurt Business is still just Bobby and MVP. You can add more people into the Hurt Business. Just because they ended business with 2 people doesn't mean that they're not going to open up business with somebody else.
Yeah, but it feels like they're opening business with Baron Corbin. And
which, hold on, no. Think about this. Do you remember this thing called, I don't know, the Dogs of War, featuring Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, and Drew McIntyre?
We forget about that in my world.
I don't remember that. No, it sounds like something.
All right, you'll remember when I say Roman Reigns dog food.
God damn it, Rickie.
How is this your defense? How is this your defense?
I'm not saying it's my defense. You said Baron Corbin.
You're doing so well.
But I said, hey, this is something that they're probably moving to. The fact of the matter is, we know where this is going. You're getting Lashley Brock. It's happening.
I mean, you're not wrong in that.
You're getting Lashley Brock.
And actually, it's been a year since Brock. I
Brock
can handle Brock.
I can handle that, but I think with the Hurt Business, if there were still a quartet, if you will, that would have added a little something to the whole storyline too.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, granted, some people may think, Brock, Bobby may not be the sexiest thing in the world, but it is a match that is needed. But I still believe the Hurt Business was one of the best things going in WWE. Granted, SmackDown, in my opinion, is better than Raw, and that's pretty much plain to see as we see every Friday night. Shout out to Roman Reigns one time.
SmackDown is amazing. You have SmackDown is the A show, as it was predicted when the contract got signed with Fox. SmackDown is the best show, ratings-wise, in particular on WWE programming, as it's supposed to be on network television. And
I'll give you that.
And I will say this. About the Hurt Business. I will say this. I am with you on this, Zach, because also as an African American, I saw something wild. I didn't know what MVP was doing, but MVP kept on saying, "Watch what I do. Watch what I do. Watch what I do." And he created an African American faction that they weren't really heels, they weren't really baby faces, but they were well-dressed African American men on national TV, and they were dominant. They were well-spoken, and they handled themselves like champions, and that's something that the wrestling world doesn't see. It was equivalent to an evolution. It was equivalent to a variation of the Four Horsemen, but it was an all African American stable, and I thought that was a great niche that WWE had never seen before. And I was also upset because I was like, there can be more done here, because they had something going.
There was a lot more to be done with this. And that's what really throws me through a loop, is the fact that you had Benjamin, you had Cedric Alexander, like I said, in my opinion, revitalized his career in WWE when he was a part of the Hurt Business, 100%, because literally without him there, he was dead to rights. He was just chilling and catering, enjoying Titus's chicken pot pie, which I heard is actually quite
I've heard
delicious.
great things about catering, I will say that. I've heard legendary things about catering.
We've heard a lot about catering, and I think it's been fantastic, and I just need to be a fly on the wall for about 5 seconds to see what the spread is like. It's just, at the end of the day, when you, like you said, Rickie, when you have a group the likes of the Hurt Business, 4 well-spoken, well-dressed African Americans handling business, giving you vibes of the Nation of Domination, even though we don't know if they were heel or face as a faction. They were something to watch. They were that one group that was just like, I wanted to see what they could do. They gave me like vibes of the Fab Five back in the early 90s when they played at Michigan. Minus the Chris Webber timeout. We don't talk about that here. But they could have really done a lot for the Hurt Business, and I think a lot for not only for the WWE Championship title picture, but also the tag team division, which in and of itself on Raw is non-existent. I think a solid run for the Hurt Business as tag team champions. And don't get it twisted, I love me some New Day, but you know what? You had enough. You had your fill at the buffet. Let Benjamin and Alexander handle business for a little while. You could have revitalized that tag team division under these two and actually had something going. Hell, who knows who they could have honestly put together, because like we said, the division is non-existent. You could have just put Riddle and Hardy back together and just let them do something for about 5 minutes and just let them get their butts.
The new Hardy Bros.
Yeah. I'm going to piss off some Hardy fans in a little bit. But seriously, the Hurt Business to me was just one of those factions that if they really gave us something, whether it be for like 8 months, 6 to 8 months, something, even if it ended at SummerSlam after, Brock Bobby, if that's the case, hopefully, fingers crossed, that even after that, you could have broken them up, and I would have been much more happier with that than just doing it. And they've only a faction for a few months.
At least a solid half a year, because you got to think, but they formed when they were in the Performance Center. So I would say at least 6, maybe 7 months. So it's a little short on the faction side, and they were doing well. And on the flip side of this whole argument, from wrestling booking standpoint, I want to leave you wanting more, so I am going to break them up.
Okay. I mean, if you want to go about it that way, Mr. Devil's Advocate, I can honestly see your point with that. It's just at the end of the day, seriously, the Hurt Business could have been so much more possible. United States Championship run with Alexander, something along those lines. That, the wanting more part, it gives me a very, very solid sour taste in my mouth. Honestly,
it is what it is, and that's kind of the way the business goes, unfortunately. And business was up with the Hurt Business, and I'm really upset because I bought that shirt, and that was a really good shirt.
Oh,
yes.
The one last point I want to make is you mentioned that they were almost a 4 horsemen like group.
Almost, yeah.
There's a reason why we know the name 4 horsemen 15, 20 years after there was an iteration of the 4 horsemen. It's because Rick and J.J. Dillon never just beat up Arn and Tully and walked off on their own. In 20 years, is anybody going to be talking about the Hurt Business? No, because this is a bad decision that they've made. And yes, we want more. We leave them wanting more, but they didn't give us enough before they left us wanting more. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay. So that's my rant for as per usual for an episode of the YLP podcast. Now we give you what you actually paid for. We are going to talk about WrestleMania 37. I don't know if we're doing any predictions. We're just going to be talking about WrestleMania. But I do, before I give it to, of course, Mr. King Rickie Rozay, I want to leave y'all with this. King Rickie Rozay, do you remember our predictions for TakeOver Vengeance
Day? Yes, I do.
Do you remember my predictions for Vengeance Day?
Oh, no, I don't. Not at all.
Kind of figured that much. Do you remember the number 5?
Yes, it's the number that Big E liked to use in NXT all the time.
And it's also the number I'm going to use because your boy went 5-0 on predictions for TakeOver Vengeance Day. I have been waiting 2 months for you to say that, and I just wanted to get that in there.
Touche.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I went
5-0
on predictions. 5-0 on predictions for TakeOver Vengeance Day. I felt very proud about that. I wanted to text you so bad and just be like, yo, and give you a big E5. I was like, you know what? I'm going to let it settle. I'm just going to let it chill because I don't know if the next time we're going to be doing the War Room or, anything like this. But yeah, I just want to throw that in there. And I felt very proud of myself. So I'm going to give myself a nice little Ciampa pat on the back and a nice little clap.
Yes. Good thing this wasn't on DraftKings.
Thank you. Oh God! But that was something I was just like, wow. I actually I think when the last match happened, I'm thinking I really am about to go 5-0 on this, isn't I? And I'm just like, I'm about to go 5-0. This is not even a flex. This is not even me flexing. I'm just like surprised as anyone else that I went 5-0 on predictions. If you guys did watch the NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day preview and predictions. But now I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna pass it over to King Rickie Rozay.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. Thank you. So we're a little over an hour in to this episode, and you know me and time limits on the show. So we are going to kind of speed through this a little bit because we do have 2 nights of WrestleMania to kind of go through. So we're going to go with night 1. I put this in the order in which I think they're going to do the card. I am probably absolutely completely wrong, just to let you know right now. This is the way that I think it should go with what we know at the time of this recording. So let's move on. And speaking of tag titles, I think the New Day, the Raw Tag Team Champions, are going to go up against Styles and Omos to begin night 1 of WrestleMania. We talked about this a little bit ad nauseum, but here's my thoughts on this as a whole before I kick it over to you, Mr. YLP and Mr. Mance, is that you have the Shawn Michaels of his generation, AJ Styles, who can put on a performance at any point in the card and make it memorable. You're going to have to do something to get this guy almost to be comfortable. And the longer you wait for somebody to debut on a card, the more likely they might not do so well. I trust the New Day. I trust AJ Styles to make sure that Omos gets his moment, looks like a star. This is going to be the first match, in my prediction, in front of a live crowd of 25,000 plus whatever video screens or whatever they have at Raymond James Stadium. And I think this is the perfect match. It's not too heavy on the technical wrestling, because it shouldn't be, because it's an opener. It can be fast-paced, and Omos can have his time to shine. Who wins? I don't know. What I really want to see here is I want to see the Giant Omos do something that's going to make me say, wow. And he almost had me on Raw when I was like, holy crap, this could be something huge here. But I think this is your fun-loving opener with a lot of crazy house show spots. Mr. YLP.
Yeah, this is one of those, when I first saw it announced and I first saw the promo for it, my first thought was, okay, we got a big old dude that we've never seen in the ring before that's been chilling doing PC stuff. Paired perfectly with AJ, I think that made a lot of sense to put him with a guy, especially a true veteran of the game. And I will agree with you, he is the Shawn Michaels of our generation, in AJ Styles. To go up against a team like the New Day, this could be one of those matches. I wouldn't necessarily say that it would open, but that wouldn't surprise me one bit if it did, because looking at the rest of the card for night one, it does speak of opening matchup. And as we all know in the business, opening matches usually give you that, bar to be set. And with a team like the New Day, when a guy like AJ Styles almost is going to feel, I think personally, right at home. He's going to feel comfortable with guys like Kofi, with guys like Xavier, with a guy like AJ Styles. He's going to feel right at home. He may not do much. He may do more than we expect, but I expect this match to actually be better than the experts think, to quote Lee Corso.
Lee Corso. You're going to put on a hat now, too?
All day.
If this is your opener, you got to have the New Day win because it's your first match back in front of fans. You want the happy ending to your first match. I don't think it's your opener though. We'll get to mine a little later. You guys are calling AJ the Shawn of the generation. I'm a big Shawn Michaels guy. I'm cool with that comparison. Is almost Diesel though, and does he have a Kevin Nash's worth of talent? And granted,
find out.
Late stage Nash is not great, but Diesel stage Nash, I don't know if almost, but I don't have anything to go on because we haven't seen anything from him. Maybe he's going to come in here and blow me away. I'm going to go open minded into this. Even if he's garbage, AJ working with Kofi and Xavier is going to be wonderful. And I wouldn't at all be surprised if AJ and almost win these tag titles.
Reminder, the first time you saw Almost on TV, he was a giant ninja in the Viking Raiders cinematic classic. And then the next time you saw him...
Yes, that's true.
The next time you saw him, he was the doorman for the now defunct Raw Underground, something that would have been a ratings boost in this day and age. Moving on...
Remember
yes. Moving on to a match, it's really weird, but I just don't care about a steel cage match, but I just don't care about the steel cage match. Shane versus Braun Strowman, and we needed Shane to jump up with something high, and a steel cage is the last thing that we can think of. Mance, what do you got here?
I'm hoping this comes late in the night because I'm gonna need to use the bathroom. It's also night one of WrestleMania is on my 34th birthday. I'm gonna need some time to cut the cake. So, we're supposed to be in Los Angeles right now. I just want to point that out.
This is very true.
Oh God, Manson, LA, no, please.
When I drove away from MetLife, that was the plan. I wasn't going to Florida, but we were supposed to be in Los Angeles for my 34th birthday. Yeah. Regardless, I'm glad that I'm not sitting there watching this on my birthday. I don't care. Shane's clearly going to win because he always somehow wins these things at WrestleMania, except with the Undertaker. Or maybe he always loses. I don't know. Did he beat the Miz?
He did beat the Miz, but he beat the Miz.
I think Shane. He did beat. Okay, Shane's going to win. He did beat the Miz, and everyone else is going to lose. It's Braun and everyone else is going to lose.
This is one of those things where I'm just like, can we just not have this match on the card? Can we leave Strowman off for this one? Can we just not have a McMahon on the card this time around? Because I'm honestly with Mance on this one. This is literally your bathroom break match of the night. This is not a match that honestly I'm really too keen on. I'm not excited about it. This is about as thrown together as you honestly could get. There's nothing about this. This is just a way to get Strowman on the card and just to have him there wearing his like extra medium T-shirt for no damn reason at all. Whoever wins, I don't care. Just at least let me see Shane McMahon get thrown through the cage. A la St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
And then he wins. So yeah,
I'll take it. I'll take that. That's fine.
The only thing that can make this better, I want the old school like blue steel cage. That's all I want from this. Moving on to a surprisingly interesting match that is confirmed for night one. Bad Bunny versus The Miz. By the way, this is a solo match. Usually when you have celebrity talents, they kind of hide them in a tag team competition, but this is very interesting because this is legitimately one-on-one. And during a recent, Mr. Wabi, during a recent not press conference, but I guess a telephone conference that Triple H had, Triple H revealed not only has Bad Bunny been training every day in Orlando in the PC, he moved himself to Orlando to train every day in the PC, and according to Triple H, has gained the respect of everybody in that gym. So be that as it may, I'm intrigued by this. I think of all the celebrity people that have come in and out of WWE, I think Bad Bunny has fit in very well. He hasn't overstepped his bounds. Character-wise, storyline-wise, he's played his part. He's elevated the business. The 24/7 title on Saturday Night Live is a huge deal that he did for the business. And people talk about Bad Bunny because he does reggaeton, but he's one of the most popular musicians in the world right now. Okay, whether you like his music or not, he's popular. That's going to sell. And he's been a long-time WWE fan. Like, it's not like he's just a guy coming for a publicity stunt paycheck. He's a fan of the business. You mix a fan of the business, somebody who's willing to work his ass off to prove that he can maybe hold his own in this universe. A guy that actually punched The Miz, legitimately punched The Miz in the jaw. And you combine him with one of the safest workers week in and week out in The Miz. You had the makings of a pretty decent match, Mr. YLP.
I honestly, at first, initially, this is my thoughts going into let's go back to Royal Rumble, my birthday weekend. When Bad Bunny first came into the fold, and he was just there for the performance, performing Booker T. My first thought was, who is this dude, and why did he name himself Bad Bunny? Because I'm just like. That was the most random, probably one of the most random names you can come up with. Then I remember Da Baby and then Lil Baby, and I'm just like, okay, we can get past that. And you pretty much said it all for me, man. He has really been putting in the work, and I remember reading him being in the training at the PC and doing it every day. That shows dedication to your craft, not only as a musician, but you're going outside of your own realm, your own comfort zone to be like, you know what? I'm actually going to be immersed into this whole deal. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go full send. I'm going to go to live in Orlando. I'm going to train at the PC every day. I'm going to do this because I want to make this as legitimate as possible for not just myself, but as you said, one of the safest workers in the game. And regardless of what anybody says about The Miz, I'm a fan of The Miz. Take out the real world stuff because we love in the YLP house, including Mama YLP. Mama YLP loves herself The Miz. That is facts 100%. Loves The Miz. Like, hey, who's that dude on? Oh, is that Mike from Mike Real World? Yeah, that's Mike from Real World. I like him. Mama YLP loves herself The Miz. All right, but that's the whole thing. But Bad Bunny has been really. And what a lot of people thought initially it was going to be Miz and Morrison versus Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, which I personally thought, and I said this on the YLP podcast, that this was a perfect way to actually bring Bad Bunny into it. Now that they made it a singles match with Bad Bunny and The Miz, and he's been working at the PC for months on end now, you know what? Let's do this. Go full send. The whole Saturday Night Live deal with the 24/7 championship was perfect. The way he gave the title back to R-Truth and get the Stone Cold gear was fantastic. He's been doing very, very well for himself, gave one good, solid, legitimate punch to The Miz, and made himself look like he's been in the WWE for a hot minute coming from NXT. This is actually what I'm going to actually stamp and solidify as my dark horse match of the night. For not just night one, but for the entire weekend as a whole. This is very highly anticipated, at least to me. I don't know how you two feel about it, but this is a very highly anticipated match for me because this can honestly prove that as long as he doesn't go the way of Snooki did, back at a certain WrestleMania we don't speak about, I think he'll have a great performance, and I think he and The Miz are going to actually do work. Man, I give it to you.
I'm glad you mentioned Snooki because my scale of celebrities at WrestleMania goes from Snooki at the bottom to Mr. T. All right. I'm thinking Bad Bunny is going to be in the upper half of that. You know, he's been training That's a plus. He's a fan. I don't think. I think he's a celebrity. He's going to win. That if you want a prediction, there you go.
Yeah,
but
give him the W easy.
I don't know if he's had enough time to hide. And granted, this is going to be a nightmare of interference from Damian Priest and John Morrison and ref bumps.
Yes.
But when all is said and done, I think it's going to be a fun match. And I think, and with Miz, you talk about Miz being safe, and this is the best way to do this. When he got introduced to the show, I just want to point out, if you can't notice by looking at the three of us, I'm a white guy from the South. I didn't know who Bad Bunny was at all when he showed up here.
Fair. Fair.
I'm punk rock and country music. I didn't know who Bad Bunny was, and I heard the music. The music is great. Issa likes it, and if the Demon Diva likes it, I like it too.
That's very fair. It never crossed Issa, so
very good. Shout out to Demon Diva one time.
Entertaining. He's been putting in the work, and great. Give him a chance. I think it's gonna be fun. I think this could actually be your opener. I think the first person you see come out could be Miz and Morrison, and then Bad Bunny gets that first match in front of people pop. So it seems like even if people aren't into it as WWE wants them to be, if he's one of the first baby faces come out, well, they gotta cheer for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a great way to open the show, and I wouldn't be opposed to that because, as far as we know, and I want to make sure I'm right on this, they're not doing any pre-show matches whatsoever. No Andre the Giant Memorial, no pre-match, no nothing of this.
Yeah, the pre-show's called SmackDown.
So if that's it, damn. So if honestly, and this is, man, first and foremost, happy birthday in advance. And if that's your birthday present, the first match you see is Bad Bunny versus The Miz. That's not a bad way to kick off your birthday night, man. I can agree more with that. This is a really huge opportunity for Bad Bunny, and honestly, it's a payday for The Miz. We already know that, but this is a great way to be like, you know what? We can really get something really good out of this. We can solidify. You know what? As long as it ain't Floyd Mayweather Big Show, we're good.
Yeah, I mean. Mayweather Big Show was fun, though. I like Mayweather Big Show.
Splits my scale. I think that would split my scale.
that and Akibono was also hilarious, but that's a whole different spectrum.
That's lower.
I think in the realm of like celebrities who actually like wrestling and actually try out wrestling, the last time that I thought a celebrity who was a fan of wrestling did really good, it wasn't at WrestleMania, it was at a SummerSlam, was Stephen Amell. Stephen Amell actually did a damn good job, and it led to a second career in wrestling for Stephen Amell. So you never know what's going to happen.
I just want to point out that David Arquette went and learned to wrestle after he was world champion, and did some decent stuff. Or Dennis Rodman, he could be great too.
Dennis Rodman was good. Karl Malone was good.
Karl Malone and Dennis Rodman. Jay Leno,
not so great. Not so great at all.
You never go for Jay Leno.
Let's move on to night one's show stealer right here. This is all about Seth. Yeah. This is all about Seth Rollins, the best dressed man on SmackDown at the moment, versus the most underrated performer in WWE right now, in Cesaro. You respect that Seth drip right now. So this match is Seth's a made man. Seth's been a made man. Let's call a spade a spade. Seth's been a made man. Cesaro has been waiting for this moment his entire career. And what better person to make him look like the star that we all know that he has been than Seth Rollins in a one-on-one match at Mania. I am excited for this. I am excited for Cesaro. If you listen to anybody talk about Cesaro outside of the ring, he's one of the most well-liked people in all of wrestling, unless you ask Eddie Kingston, but that's another story. I interviewed Eddie.
Wait, I don't know.
Neither do
story.
I. I tried getting it out of Eddie Kingston when I interviewed him a couple of years ago for Evolve, and he calls him Claudio. That's how bad it is. So, so be that as it may, I'm very excited for Cesaro to get his moment. I think him and Seth, because Seth's just a wily, athletic person, and Cesaro's pound for pound one of the strongest people in wrestling, if not the strongest. This is going to be a beautiful match, and I hope Cesaro wins. Even if he loses, I think Cesaro wins. Mance, what do you got?
This is the only thing WrestleMania is going to put up that might hit Ciampa Walter levels. And not from a two giant men destroying each other level, just from a sheer brutality and technical aspect. I don't like Seth Rollins' Messiah character. I don't like it. I haven't liked it since he started it. Mainly because he was the Monday Night Messiah. It was biting off my thing. That's neither here nor there. But this match intrigues me. I'm a Cesaro fan. I've been a Cesaro fan since he was Claudio. He's the toughest, strongest man on the main roster today. This is going to be just a great match. I don't know how to pick the winner. I would hope Cesaro. I don't know. I want to just point out on SmackDown not the one that airs tonight, last week. There's the segment with with these two engraved in the ring. Cesaro looked like $1 million just visually because Seth is so over the top and with that purple.
Listen. It was called.
Which
it was for Easter. He was preparing for Easter.
I get that. On it. But is he a Southern Baptist church lady? Is that what we're going for here?
I don't know.
But no, Cesaro looked like $1 million because you had Seth and that, you had Graves in his flower thing, and Cesaro just standing there, open collar, pinstripes, like, yeah, that man should win at WrestleMania and should be a world champion. I hope Cesaro wins. I mean, we had Kofi Mania. Miz got to the top. Lashley got to the top. Let's have Cesaro Mania or Cesaro Slam or something. Let's just get Cesaro.
Cesaro Slam at SummerSlam sounds fantastic to me, Mr. YLP.
Can we get a T-shirt for that? For anybody who hates on Cesaro, first and foremost, you're out of your damn mind. Cesaro, and I'm not even going to say it. I'm just going to go Antonio Cesaro. The man that can speak 5 languages. The man that had Oksana. That wonderful lady, Miss YLP, don't get mad. I'm just saying, facts. I'm just saying, she's quite lovely and looks good in the body too. Miss YLP, don't get mad. It's just facts. But I'm just saying, this man, when I first saw Antonio Cesaro come into the WWE, I didn't even know who the hell he was until I found out afterwards he was aligned with Chris Hero. Then I was like, okay, I get it. This man has world champion written all over him. And we've been saying for years, Rickie, Mance, myself, anybody who's a fan of Cesaro has been saying this man should have held multiple world titles across his career thus far in the WWE. Personally, this has to be a definitive coming out party for Cesaro. And if no one else is going to predict it, I will. Cesaro beat Seth Rollins at WrestleMania tomorrow night. This has to be his coming out party. A man like Seth Rollins, who possibly raided Kenny Omega's closet, we don't know, possibly raided Becky Lynch's closet, jacket that we saw a few months back upon his return, that's a
Becky
whole...
wouldn't be caught there.
Not in public, but seriously, this match, this is tailor-made for both men. This is the match where you cannot leave the bath. You cannot go to the bathroom. You cannot leave to go to the kitchen to get you a snack and some beer. You cannot leave your seat if you're going to be in Raymond James Stadium. I believe a certain Patreon member of ours, Mr. Wade Ilson, I believe is going to be there.
That is confirmed, yes.
That is confirmed, and shout out to Wade one time, one of our Patreon squadron, and make sure you join the Patreon for $5 a month at patreon.com/Wrestle Addict Radio if you'd like to get some exclusive stuff from myself, Mr. King Rickie Rozay, Mr. Manson, all that good stuff. Shameless plug. This is going to be the match that everybody talks about from the weekend. Probably one of my top 5 that I'm looking forward to the most out of the entire weekend. You have an athletic guy, CrossFit Jesus himself, Seth Rollins, against a guy who was, like you said, Rickie, one of the most underrated talents that WWE has, and he has not cracked that glass ceiling. Saturday night, he cracks that ceiling, breaks it open a la Triple H, a la Cody Rhodes with the throne back a couple years ago. He has his moment. Tomorrow night, Cesaro will win, and this will be a match that we talk about, and this is, dare I say it, a potential match of the year
Everything you said there is absolutely correct. It's a potential match of the year candidate. Just so you know, with people breaking thrones, and if Cody Rhodes was here, he would say there's more than one wrestling family. So be that as it may. Moving on into what I think will probably be, this is a prediction here. This isn't a spoiler. This is a prediction. What I think might be a match that get lost in the shuffle here. With what I think the main event should be. I say should. You have the WWE World Championship, Drew McIntyre, with his umpteenth time trying to get the title back, against Bobby Lashley, the almighty Bobby Lashley. Two things here. I love Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre got shafted by the pandemic. There's nothing he could do about that. He tried his hardest. He tried his damnedest, and he was... Drew McIntyre was everything that WWE could have asked for in a champion at the time. He did everything he was supposed to do. Even when he got COVID, he cut a damn good promo, saying everything that he needed to say with that. On the flip side, you have Bobby Lashley, a man who should have been a world champion 5 years ago, or even when he came back, now having his shot in the limelight. Granted, I thought it was premature. Granted, I thought he should have won on a bigger stage, a la WrestleMania, which I think would have been a beautiful moment for Lashley in his career, especially with, the moment that they had with the last African-American to win a title at WrestleMania in Kofi Kingston. This might have even topped it, just because of the presence of Bobby Lashley and everything. But be that as it may, he's going into WrestleMania as a champion, and there's something to be said to go into WrestleMania as a champion, which means you're already a good draw. And to go against somebody like Drew McIntyre, this is going to be, I think, a very good match. It's going to be... I think it's going to a dusty finish. Don't be surprised if some beast comes back at some point, just to add a little bit of shock value to this all. And probably some much needed star power. But this is going to be, in my opinion, Mr. YLP, as we're going to bring it back to you, this is going to be big, meaty men slapping meat. This ain't a technical masterpiece. This is a Jim Ross slobber knocker. So.
Big man, big chest, and big claws.
All that.
Saturday night. And then some. This match intrigues me a lot because, as you said, Drew McIntyre completely got shafted by the pandemic, but there was nothing, honestly, we could really do about that. COVID things, But Drew McIntyre, like you said, did everything he could to make the title and make himself as relevant as possible during a pandemic, and he did quite well with what he had to do with the opponents that he faced in his reign. Then losing it, of course, and now he's facing Bobby Lashley to try to get that title back. I don't think he gets the title back first and foremost. I'm going to leave that around the waist of Bobby Lashley, that very fit, trim waist of his, and nor do I want to get it smashed up or get a dominator from Mr. Lashley himself or MVP, because I love both men equally for sure. But this is one of those matches where this is literally like a quintessential main event for a WrestleMania. Two big dudes, two big names like Bobby Lashley and McIntyre. Lashley, and you're not wrong in saying he should have been a world champion many moons ago. This is just one of those things where I think it's time to actually see what we can do with a title around Lashley, the likes of the WWE World Championship. This will be one of those matches where fans will talk about it. This may be passed on a little bit when all is said and done because of so many things that are going on with just night one alone. But I'm not going to discount this match 1 second. I think the build has been decent. I think since Fastlane, which I'm honestly going to say I did not watch for because I was on vacation, enjoying the wonderful state of Colorado, by the way. But this is one of those things where this could be one of those matches where we do talk about it. It's not the sexy match of the year candidate we're going to be talking about over the entire year, but this will be a match that we do remember, and it can solidify Lashley as a top draw on not just Monday Night Raw, but in WWE.
Mr. Mance.
I care more about the WWE title now than I have in a long time because Bobby Lashley is the champion.
Okay.
I was 100% invested in Miz winning the title and having this huge long run as this chicken shit heel and just being great at it.
As was I.
Cat.
As was I.
And then the next night they're like, Bobby Lashley's gonna get a shot at the title. I was like, that's way better. And they sold it for a week, and they sold it for that night, and he won that title. I watched an entire Monday Night Raw. I don't watch Monday Night Raw either. I watch highlights. I watched an entire Monday Night Raw because they kept stringing me along to that Lashley Miz title match. I was like, they're gonna screw me at the end of the night. And no, Lashley has that title at the end of the night. I've been more invested in this title than I have been since Kofi won the thing. That was the last time I was this invested.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a brutal match. There's going to be lots of thigh slapping. There's going to be just tons of stuff going on. And at the end, I want Bobby Lashley to win. And if it takes Brock coming back and laying waste to both of them, cool. I've had a Brock break. We've had a year.
Yeah.
And we can move on.
Yeah.
Drew has been a great champion in a time where it was hard to be a great champion. He had to lose the title to Randy for a minute for some reason. I still haven't figured that out.
You got to get to 16 somehow.
But we are. Drew's had his time. He's got plenty of years yet. He'll get back to the top.
Absolutely.
Let's run Lashley out to SummerSlam. Let's run Lashley out to Survivor Series. Let's run him out till next year's WrestleMania. Give Brock another Royal Rumble win. I don't care. Let's just run a little bit more Lashley time.
Yeah, no.
That's all I'm
Absolutely.
saying.
He's got the perfect person with him. I mean, granted, I feel a little bit bad for Leo Rush because Leo Rush knew before we all did, but MVP is a better mic person.
And didn't Bobby say, if I remember in a recent interview, he would have wanted Leo in the Hurt Business?
Leo Rush would have been a perfect person in the Hurt Business.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely perfect for the Hurt Business.
If he wasn't holding MLW World Middleweight Championship
Exactly.
and a AAA Cruiserweight Championship, and shout out to Leo Rush for that, because I saw that match with Myron Reed, and that match was fire. If you have not seen that match in MLW Fusion, watch that. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed.
I will say this: at his age, Leo Rush will be back in the WWE. I can almost guarantee that. At his age right now, he will be back. But let's move along to what I think is going to be the main event, which I thought would have been the main event from the jump. A lot of storyline stuff got in the way, which makes me think this might not be the main event because, I don't know, some guy named Reginald running the women's division on Raw and SmackDown. However, they've kind of moved away from that, and we're getting the build that should have been being built before Fastlane. And of course, I'm talking about the SmackDown Women's Championship with the Boss Sasha Banks as champion going up against a true Royal Rumble winner in Bianca Belair. This should be historical on multiple levels if this is the main event. Number one, you have two females main eventing a night of WrestleMania. Number two, you have two African-American females main eventing a WrestleMania. In that job, you have a pure Royal Rumble winner in Bianca Belair. By the way, the youngest person, I think, to go from NXT to the person who's gone the fastest from NXT to a main event of WrestleMania ever is Bianca Belair. There is history on a lot of levels here, and I think regardless of the build, because I thought the build should have been better, this should have been a staple of WrestleMania. You should have been like, what are you here to see WrestleMania for? I'm here to see Roman, I'm here to see Sasha versus Bianca, I'm here to see, and one other match, whatever that may be. But this should have been a staple. It's kind of been hit or miss, but we're finally getting my boo Sasha being what she does best. It's just the boss, and you have Bianca trying to come into her own. They have a lot of faith in Bianca. I don't blame them. She is an unbelievable athlete. From people that I've talked to in the PC, to even watching her when they did that performance center like combine. Bianca Belair is an athletic freak of nature. She is a great baby face right now. She's like the happy to be here person. She has a fantastic and absolutely beautiful story that they highlighted on the network, I think in a Chronicle or something of that nature. And you have somebody in Sasha Banks who's having the best championship run and she's having the best run right now of her career. You have these two people colliding. It makes for a really great story. I want to see Bianca Belair win. I want to see a star truly be made at WrestleMania. On the flip side, I want Sasha Banks to defend her title and actually get her first true win at WrestleMania too. This is what intrigues me. I am sold on this match. Reginald and all that BS aside, I am sold on this match, and I think for all of these things that I mentioned before, Mance, this should be the night one main event.
I agree. My other pick for the opener is Drew and Lashley.
That would also be
but this is your main event.
Wait,
because of my wife and Jackie and Kay, I've become more socially minded in the last 2 years than I've ever been in my life. The importance of this match is not lost on me, if for no other reason than my daughter, the wrestling fan, my daughter who is mixed race, my daughter who I showed Kofi Kingston win the title and she cried because someone who looked like her grandfather won the title. Now, someone who looks like her mother, actually two someone who look like her mother in the main event of WrestleMania. This is such an important match. It needs if it's the main event, I need it to even be better than the triple threat main event the last time we were all at Mania together.
Yes.
I need this to be the show stealer. I need this to be the showstopper, and I need Bianca Belair to win. Just from start to finish, that the story has to be that Bianca Belair wins the Rumble, goes on and wins the title. That she completes the cycle. It's so important because again, for my daughter, that's what I need her to see. Not that Sasha would also. It's Sasha and Bianca make the history. I need Bianca to go full circle. Never mind the fact that I took my daughter to NXT before everything went to hell in the world, and she loves Bianca Belair anyway.
There you go.
But she loved two people on that show, Io Shirai and Bianca Belair.
Good taste.
So
solid.
If I'm going strictly off my daughter's pick here, it's got to be Bianca Belair. This match could make the show, or it could break the show if they screw this up.
Absolutely, Mr. YLP.
And I'm worried.
Let's take it back to August real quick, if I may.
Okay.
Follow me on this journey, if you will. I stated back in August, there was only one person that needed to win the 2021 Royal Rumble. For all my listeners in the YLP podcast, you already know what I'm about to say, so don't spoil it for everybody else. Enjoy your popcorn. Enjoy this journey. I stated back in August, there was only one woman that needed to win that Rumble, and that woman was none other than Bianca Belair. I had said it from then. I said it all the way through the remainder of 2020 while trying not to go crazy over COVID. I picked her to win the Royal Rumble. I told everybody and their grandmother, Bianca Belair wins Royal Rumble. I said it on my Royal Rumble. I don't know if I remember I did a Royal Rumble review. If it came down to Ripley and Bianca, either one of them could have won and I would have been perfectly fine with it. But Bianca needed to win this over everybody, no matter who was on or in the Women's Royal Rumble match. She needed this more than any woman, period. She wins. Then I stated, she is going to be your SmackDown Women's Champion no matter what. She is tailor-made to be champion. She may not have won the Women's Championship in NXT, and that's perfectly fine. Not everybody can hold that goal. Perfectly fine. She had a banger of a match with Rhea back in Portland, and to this day, that moment, that match sold me on Bianca Belair. That match alone, I was like, you know what? Bianca Belair's got it. She is not just the EST for, just because she says she is. She embodies the EST. Strongest, best, fastest, all toughest, all that stuff. She embodies that. And when you have someone the likes of Montez Ford as your husband, that is going to be there in that moment when she wins that championship, which I would say should be and shall be the main event of night one, because there's no other match on this card that is night one That has to be your main event. And Mance, you said it perfectly. This is that kind of match that really is for your daughter. It's for all daughters everywhere. You know, I'm of mixed race myself. All right. The second we got Sasha versus Bianca, this had to be main event. People were clamoring for it to be main event night too, and I was like, pump the brakes, ladies and gentlemen. We got Roman forward. Slow it down. Okay? But I get your point. But this is the match that has to main event night.
Yes.
This has to be, and Rickie, you said it best. Sasha has not had a true win at WrestleMania.
Never has.
Okay? But let me put it this way. This is the moment Asuka should have had a couple of years ago.
New Orleans.
When she was going into Mania. In New Orleans versus Charlotte. Everybody and their mama was thinking Asuka was going to take that. We didn't get that moment. We should have gotten that moment. And Asuka should have been whooping everybody's ass from then on until Kyrie beat her at the next WrestleMania. I booked that to perfection many years ago. I had it in the palm of my hand, and we never got that. This is that now. Bianca Belair has to be SmackDown Women's Champion. And think of that division that SmackDown has right now, besides Sasha and Bianca. Bayley, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan,
getting better.
Natalya,
staple.
Tamina,
coming into her own.
We can just put her on NXT. I don't care. Especially after what I saw with NXT. Carmella's going to NXT. I'll see you on the 13th, baby girl. This is the one match of the many matches that we're going to have this weekend that has to main event night one. You close that out with what I'm saying, let them go 30 minutes. Let them go 30.
They can do it.
If they can't
they can do it.
They can do it. Because Banks can do it. Bianca sure as hell can do it. And she is and former powerlifter, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Okay.
That's how she was found.
Homegirl deadlifts more in her sleep than I ever could in my PR right
Former
now.
Division I athlete from the state of Tennessee.
Facts. She's got everything you want in a champion. You give us a banger of a match with Banks and Belair, you give Belair that moment at WrestleMania 37 night one. That is how you close out Saturday night. Fireworks, that wonderful theme song she has. I love that theme song. I play that in the gym on my chest day, and I bump that to high heavens, and I'm wilding the hell out every time I go for my PR in the chest press. But seriously, this is Bianca's moment. Okay, Sasha will do what's right for business.
Okay,
because we are back to business, and SmackDown's women's division is getting to get back to business with Bianca Belair as your new SmackDown Women's Champion.
Yes, before we move over to Night 2, I do want to say this, and it's something that not a lot of people talk about. A lot of people talk about great minds in the business, people who can put matches together. The name that comes to mind a lot for me is Johnny Gargano. I've heard a lot of great stuff about how Johnny puts together matches and how he just knows about the details of a match. Regardless of who wins this main event of Sasha and Bianca, I can probably tell you for a fact that there is very few people in women's wrestling that I would trust to put together a match to pay attention to the details more so than Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks will, I believe, with her pure wrestling knowledge from everything that I've read and heard about her, I believe Sasha Banks will put together a fantastic story with Bianca Belair.
I wonder who's going to produce this match.
I'm very interested as well.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I'm very interested.
That's a very solid. Because I would, because my thing, and you know what also really sold it for me with this matchup? Paul Heyman really sold me on Bianca.
Paul Heyman
champion. The Talking Smack interview.
Paul Heyman is talking smack.
He is talking smack. You can put Kayla on there. I am just a man. I am merely just a man. We've seen the thirst traps on IG, boo-boo. Trust me when I tell you, we know. We ain't here for you. We're here for Paul. And when Paul Heyman said what he said about Bianca and what he said to Bianca, he knew that literally, honestly, if he ever put him in Incorporated, he would want to have Bianca Belair in that match.
The Dangerous Alliance is a real thing, so I'm very excited for this. But let's move over to night 2, and what I think might also be the opener, bro. We have the United States Championship, Matt Riddle, the United States champion, for better or for worse, versus Sheamus, who has really embraced the bar fight gimmick. And I'll tell you right now, because I'll keep it short and sweet, because I don't really have much to say about this, Mr. YLP. I've never been a bigger Sheamus fan than I am until now.
That's a big shock, because honestly, I was a big fan of Sheamus when he was a part of the bar.
Listen, I will tell you this right now. If a couple of things changed on Raw, Sheamus would have been a main eventing this WrestleMania. Sheamus is on a beautiful run.
That's true. That's true. A lot of people, and I actually would agree with that statement. I thought a lot of people would have thought him and Drew McIntyre would be facing off for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. That's not the case. But I will give you literally my full assessment on how I feel about Riddle versus Sheamus. If you'll excuse me for just a moment.
Oh, he's going somewhere. He's going. I enjoy the pillows, though.
He's gone.
It's very interesting pillows you have on your couch, I will say that. What are those, feathers? Leaves? They look like leaves.
Leaves, I
think they are leaves. Yes.
They're always back.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I got for this matchup. There's no reason I want to watch this matchup. That is literally me going to the bathroom for this matchup. For months, I have been saying the biggest detriment, or what could be the biggest good thing about a promotion in and of itself, is your mid-card. The mid-card really makes your promotion go. If you have a mid-card championship in your promotion, doesn't matter what promotion you have. Your mid-card title does mean a lot. I am a huge fan of the old-school way of the Intercontinental Championship, the workhorse title, if you will. I've always been a proponent of that. If you can hold down the Intercontinental Championship for a period of time, and yes, they are leaves, actually, by the way. I didn't pick this Mama Wild.
Oh, okay, they are leaves. I was wondering for a little bit.
They are leaves, 100%, actually. Just in case, So that is
those leaves. Are leaves. Okay.
There you go. Wonderful. Matches very well with the Brown
It fits in with Matt Riddle. Leaves.
Exactly. There is honestly... There is nothing about this matchup I actually dig. The mid card on Monday Night Raw is in shambles. This is literally as about as thrown together as you can get. They just threw something on the wall and saw if it stick. It stuck. We got Sheamus versus Riddle. I honestly don't give a damn shit or fuck who wins this matchup. Let's just get 10 minutes out of it, get it over with. If Riddle retains, so be it. But please, Monday Night Raw, get your mid-card together, because you have a ton of talent on there and you're underutilizing them. A la Tony damn Nese. Can we get Tony Nese a championship opportunity on Monday Night Raw, please?
Mr. Mance.
10 minutes seems like a lot of time. 10 minutes is too long. I need Sheamus to beat Matt Riddle faster than he beat Daniel Bryan.
You want the WrestleMania 28? You want the WrestleMania 28 moment?
16 seconds to match here.
Oh no, he went there.
I want Matt Riddle to get in the ring, kick off his shoes, birds to fly out of his feet, but before he hits the ground, I want him to be broken kicked. That's all I want.
Can they pull that off, though? The timing would have to be immaculate.
That's all I want. It's just boom, pin, done. No one's going to be mad this time. No one's going to be mad at this time.
No.
Damn, I can't even be mad at that. That's actually really good booking.
I'm fine with it.
That's really
the most
good.
The most exciting thing about this match is I will say this, as a belt collector of wrestling belts, the new United States Championship is a beautiful championship. I will say that. Like, aesthetically,
it grew on me.
It took me a while, but it did grow on me. I think it's a fantastic looking title. So the more I see it, the better. I just don't want it on Riddle. Sheamus will do it probably a better job at doing it. But also, don't be surprised if somebody comes for Retribution, because Mustafa Ali is the uncrowned United States champion, in my opinion.
Don't even get started on Retribution, man. I have too many thoughts on that.
I said somebody coming for Retribution. I didn't say Retribution itself. They have made that split.
BAM confirmed.
Yes. So let's. Let's move on to another title match here that we have on the card. The Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka, the Raw Women's Champion, who has had an underrated but very good run as champion, versus Rhea Ripley, the only person on the Raw women's roster that would probably make sense at this point, not named Charlotte Flair. She came in, Rhea Ripley came in day one of Raw. It was like, hey, Charlotte has COVID. I guess I'm challenging you for the title. And in my mind, I was watching it, and I was like, you know what? That actually makes perfect sense. Let's do this. So I'm excited for this. Rhea Ripley already has the WrestleMania experience. She put on what was arguably the best match last year at WrestleMania with her and Charlotte. You're going up against somebody else who is a fantastic performer, day in, day out, through and through in any promotion anywhere around the world, in Asuka, one of the greatest female wrestlers in the history of wrestling. I see nothing but positives coming from this match. I really don't care who wins. If Rhea won and got her time in the sun to win the title at WrestleMania to make her a bigger star than she already is, absolutely wonderful, fantastic. If Asuka gets that true win at WrestleMania that she so damn well deserves, awesome, fantastic, wonderful. Either way, we win as fans here. Mance.
I want Rhea to win. I don't think she's going to. I think this is going to be a fantastic match, and in the end, Asuka is going to get that win that you just said she deserves and that she needs. Asuka's not the best at WrestleMania. It's just the way it is. But in my heart, what I want, and I know they'll never do because it makes reference to somebody I'm about to make reference to, I want Rhea to win, to be holding that title up, and then Bianca come out and we get a recreation of Eddie and name redacted, which we'll never do because they would have to reference Chris Benoit. But I would love to see the two NXT women who were the last two in the Rumble. To be standing tall at WrestleMania. I would love to see it. I don't think it's going to happen. What I am excited about is what this match can be. Just Rhea is so good. Asuka's so good. It was just a shame they didn't intersect in NXT during the era of Asuka in NXT. Yeah. But we're here now, and let's see what they do. Don't knock out any more teeth out of Asuka. The only thing I ask. If you are going to do it, make it count. But no, this should be great. I think Asuka's going to win, but this. If they didn't put this on the same night as the triple threat, this would be the match I was most excited about on this night. But it's real close. It's a real close second.
Mr. YLP.
Ooh, Asuka, Rhea Ripley, a dream match for some, including myself. This is definitely a match I have put on my watch list for a hot minute, and when it became official, I didn't even know Charlotte had COVID, so that's honestly news to me personally.
Oh, you want to hear some more news? Charlotte also had a pregnancy scare.
We already knew about that. I found out about that. Took a test 3 times, negative on all 3. So, yes. So, here's what I think about Asuka, Rhea Ripley. Man, I definitely agree with that. That's a match we should have seen in NXT. That would have been probably one of the greatest NXT matches of all time, hands down, especially for the women's division, especially for when Asuka was on her killer run with the NXT Women's Championship, holding that for as long as I can honestly remember. She was God tier in NXT, and there's no one that can tell me otherwise. Rhea Ripley, I think, gets her win back at WrestleMania. Okay. I think this is her time. I would also personally love to see that moment with Eddie and name redacted, of course. That moment would be bonkers. That would be a great moment. But the only way you pull it off is if you have that later on in the evening on Sunday. But I don't think that match will go on towards co-main event status. I would love to see that because I think Tampa would be there for it 100%. I love me some Asuka. 100%. She can go with the best of them. One of the best, like you said, Rickie, in the business in terms of women's wrestling. And I'm saying in wrestling, period. She is a living legend.
Absolutely.
I'm saying Mako Morris.
Yes.
Homegirl can go. 100%. I just think personally, it's Rhea Ripley's time. I'm going to go dovetail off Nance. These are 2 of the best women we have in the game right now in Bianca and Rhea. The true future of women's wrestling in the WWE. I think they can be solid standard bearers, sitting up at the top of the mountain on brands. And the reason why I say Rhea Ripley wins the Raw Women's Championship is not only because I would love to see the rematch between Asuka and Rhea Ripley, but I think here's how I see it. I'm going to dive into my little fantasy booking for a second. Give me at SummerSlam the triple threat that a lot of people were not hoping for between Charlotte, Rhea, and Asuka. Assuming that we don't get a shakeup after WrestleMania,
Okay.
if we don't get that, these are your top, and I'm gonna go the same route that I did with SmackDown. Raw's women's division is pretty stacked. If you honestly think about it, think about the division as a whole. You got Asuka, Rhea, Charlotte, Nia, if she's not injuring someone or destroying someone's face region, Shayna. That quintet
She's not
alone,
kicking teeth out of people's mouths.
That fits her brand. That fits her brand, though.
That quintet alone can give you a lot of matches going on. And I think SummerSlam would be a proper time to give us a really sick triple threat between Asuka, Charlotte, and Rhea. Assuming that we do get back to touring as they want to in July, that Vince McMahon has been clamoring for since, I believe, the beginning of this year, if as long as COVID, chambers down a little bit, we get back to touring. Give me that at SummerSlam. But the reason I want to see Rhea become Raw Women's Champion is because I would love to see Bianca versus Rhea at Survivor Series. SmackDown Women's Champion versus Raw Women's Champion. That would, and don't get me wrong, we've seen some solid women's matches, champion versus champion in Survivor Series, but I think this one would be highly anticipated, and that's why I'm saying Rhea becomes Raw Women's Champion. To see that match again, go bring that back to take over Portland. Give me those vibes. Mm-hmm. Let Bianca and Rhea have that little bit of a promo where you can just say, I beat you at Portland, but things have changed over about the last couple of years. I know I can beat you now, Rhea. Mm-hmm. That's what I would say. Give me Rhea versus Bianca at Survivor Series champion versus champion, and we got a lot of this. A lot of that.
Let's hope.
Okada would be pleased with that. Trust me when I tell
you. Let's hope that they don't rain on our parade there, no pun intended. Speaking of a lot of money here, in a match that was put together seemingly very, very last minute. Also, that will include in some way, shape, or form everybody's favorite YouTuber, sarcasm, highly intended there, Logan Paul. You have one of the fantasy matches for the marks of the last 10 years. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, singles match, WrestleMania. I've been clamoring for this as long as I've known these two and their rivalry in NXT. We got what we wanted, probably not in the way that we wanted, but we got it nonetheless. And I will say this, Mr. Mansell, before I kick it over to you. If there are any two people who can throw a match together and make it better than what it damn sure should be in a very minimal amount of time, it's probably Kevin and Sami Zayn. You're thinking there, man. You're in deep thought about this.
I like it.
Here's my problem.
Yeah, it's got to be around Logan Paul.
This match is a beautiful steak dinner served on the inside of a trash can. Because
that's beautiful.
That's beautiful. Not Jake Paul, Logan Paul, whichever one of these idiots they run it. I would love to see Steen and Generico at WrestleMania to be a mark. But Logan Paul, why? Why is Logan Paul here? I don't know. I think the match is going to be great, and if Logan Paul takes a pop-up pile drive or a pop-up powerbomb, I will like.
He might get a stunner, I think.
But yeah, I mean, I want him. I need him. I need Kevin Owens to jump off the pirate ship onto Logan Paul. Not Logan Paul. Or pop up powerbomb off the pirate ship. I need something bad to happen to Logan Paul to redeem this match. Because, yes, I am the Steen Generico guy that wanted that match. And they stuck this guy in here to just, I don't know. It's like everything is great except they stabbed me in the eye with a fork right beforehand. It just feels like that. It's a great match that I think has been spoiled for the sake of getting 6 extra viewers. It just feels like that. And I got nothing else.
Mr. YLP, what do you got for me?
Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. A tale as old as time. A rivalry as old as me. Possibly. I don't know. We go back to Ring of Honor, Ladder Wars, Generico versus Steen, that powerbomb through the ladder. That will always be a moment in time that I can honestly say that is one of my favorite wrestling moments ever. Period. That moment, that match, everything that was stood about it was glorious. When I look at Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens now, these are two guys that faced each other in NXT many moons ago. This was a match that anytime I see this anywhere in the world, your boy's going to sit down, get popcorn ready, and just enjoy the gloriousness that is this matchup. And then you have Logan Paul, a YouTuber that went to a certain country, went into a certain deep forest or whatever, and did some things that he definitely shouldn't have done.
Yeah, it wasn't a good look for anybody.
Yeah, not the best of looks for anybody on the planet, and any person that went to a certain country and went to a certain forest, that they probably would be shunned and canceled about as quickly as how fast the Alberto Sheamus match is going to be on Sunday night. But even with Logan Paul, I expect Zayn and Owens to come out and do what they do best, and that is compete inside the squared circle. These two, anytime you see them anywhere, it didn't matter what brand, what promotion it was, you knew what you were going to get out of these two. I expect nothing less than a solid match on the middle of the card. Mm-hmm. These two can literally wrestle in a high school gym near my mama's house, and I would definitely go just walk over there and enjoy the gloriousness that is this. This gloriousness is now a word in English language. You're welcome, Webster, and I will check my check in the mail. This is just going to be so much fun to watch. Hopefully we don't get much interference out of Logan Paul. Me personally, I don't know why they have him here. I guess he's just there for the payday. But when you give me Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, I'm going to watch, and hopefully they give us something of value on Sunday night.
All you need from this match is the payback match that they had. Remember WWE Payback? And they put together Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens out of nowhere? And they had everybody in the palm of their hands by the end of that match.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
it was
absolutely
a beautiful match. If they can replicate that again in a minimal amount of time, I'm sold. And the only thing Logan Paul has to do, besides take a bump or two, stay out of the way. Just stay out of the way. His one moment... his one moment on SmackDown. I will give the devil his due. His one moment on SmackDown, he did his lines correctly, and he stayed out of the way. He stayed in his lane. He said what he needed to say. His timing and everything was perfectly fine, and he didn't take away from the main story, and that's all you needed there. So as long...
Just don't get knocked. When you
as long as Logan Paul stays out of the way, does not become an actual interference in this match, as in plays a hand in how the ending goes, this will be fine. Unfortunately, he will. But this should be fine. I trust the wildly creative minds of Sammy and Kevin to make this work in any way, shape, or form. Let's move along here to, I think, a match that a lot of people are sleeping on, which is a good and a bad thing. You have the Intercontinental Championship match, which might be a Ghana drum match, I think it was that he said. My fault. Kofi's from Ghana. Apollo Crews is from Nigeria. My apologies. The Nigerian drum match, whatever the hell that is. You have Big E versus Apollo Crews. Big E, the Intercontinental Champion, putting his championship on the line. I'm happy for this because, one, we're getting a Big E singles run that he's doing okay with. I'm happy for this because Apollo Crews is getting the time that he should have been getting for a while now because he is a great talent. I think he's finally found his character where he doesn't have to smile. Thank the Lord. Stop smiling, Apollo Crews. And I think this is a match that can showcase both talents. I think they kind of overdid it because they've already fought each other for the last couple of months, so this kind of seems like overkill in and of itself, but I'm expecting a decent match out of this. I would want a bigger match for Kofi, not for Kofi, for Big E and Apollo. However, these guys are getting a spot at WrestleMania. which in any other year, these guys probably would never seen the light of day, never sniffed the card. Let's just be honest. They would have never sniffed the card. They're getting this moment now, and I hope they make the best of it. What do you got, Mr. YLP?
They are going to make the best of it. I've been a fan of Big E since he's been in NXT, Mr. Five Count himself. All right. So we already got that out of the way, and I still kind of feel bummed that Bo Dallas was the one to take it off of him, but that's a whole different story in itself. Give me the powder. Give me the Wale theme, because I fucking love that theme. Fantastic. This is Apollo Crews night. And as much as I love Big E and I love how much he holds that Intercontinental Championship dear to his heart, this is the time where WWE really needs to look at themselves in the mirror and think, if not now, then when? Okay. Because Apollo Crews is that dude. Apollo Crews can go. 100%. I've seen the man in NXT. I've seen him on the main roster. This dude should have had at least one mid-card title under his belt already. It doesn't matter if it was the U.S. or the Intercontinental Championship. This guy can go. And these two, and I'm just thinking it in my head, Apollo Crews has to win the Intercontinental Championship. I think this is just his night. With the way that they've now switched him over to becoming a heel, him embracing his Nigerian roots, looking fresh as hell with the wonderful claws.
Honestly, I'm not even Nigerian that I know of, but I want that scarf.
I want that fucking scarf, dude. And I'm so you already know. I mean, that's fly. That's some fly stuff. I can make it work with that cloth. All right. He has embraced. They've allowed Apollo to embrace the character, embrace his roots, and really come into full form with this character that he has now. This has to be Apollo Crews' night. And I would love to see him just handle business. Because you got to think of it, too. I think there are a lot more baby faces than there are heels right now in terms of what they got going on roster-wise on SmackDown. Apollo Crews, I would love to see him against Cesaro. I would love to see him against Seth Rollins for the title. I would love to see him and Shinsuke go at it a couple times. Wouldn't be mad at that at all. I would love to see him against Bobby Roode, Dolph Ziggler. You have more than enough talent for Apollo to run with for his title run, no matter how long he holds that championship, whether it be for a month or whether it be for a year. You gotta let Apollo Crews run with this championship and see what he can do. SmackDown has a solid roster of talent that Apollo Crews can work with. This is the time to give Apollo Crews a shot to see what he can really do with that title. And plus, the rematch for that, whenever they do it, would be mint for me, personally.
Yeah. Mance, what you got?
I think the rematch is where Apollo needs to win the title. I'm not ready to let go of Big E as the IC champion yet. I mean, I know he won on Christmas Day, so he's had it for
he also won on Christmas Day with one of the biggest ratings on SmackDown on Fox ever. First time I believe they topped. I think it's the first time they topped 2 million for a SmackDown. Yes,
that's true. Yes, correct.
Big is getting into his run. And Apollo's brought a lot of great stuff out of Big E here. I'm not ready for Big E to lose this title. Nigerian drum fight. I don't know what that means. I imagine it's some sort of street fight, but I don't know. To me, this is a sleeper match for stealing the show. These two could set the show on fire right here. It's your dark horse sleeper. I want Big E to win, but I really just want to see some amazing wrestling. Now, these two, Apollo Crews, you're right, has so much talent, and he's been Smiley Guy, and that sucks. Big E makes Smiley Guy work.
Yes,
and that just different people. Yes. But if Big E does lose, then let's start Big E towards a heel turn. Let's go heel Big E again and start him towards. And of course, I'm maybe giving away a little bit of my prediction for the winner of the triple threat. If we get Big E started on a heel turn towards a babyface Universal Champion.
Very interesting. Yeah, very interesting as well. I will say this: Big E and Apollo are both younger guys. Although Big E is a little bit older, he's in his mid-30s at this point. I believe he's 34.
Not that old.
Yeah, he's not that old. Not that
That's
old, but
not
he's still got time. And I say this I say that to say this is that Paul Heyman also mentioned it on Talking Smack. It's one of the best Paul Heyman lines that I've ever heard him say to anybody at any time in the history of his career. Paul Heyman said, to Big E, to his face, when is the last time somebody mentioned Roman Reigns in the same breath as the Shield?
It's a big thing.
You know,
that's a line. That's a bar.
Yeah, think about it. And I think Big E has that potential where the New Day will just be a footnote in his career.
I've always said the New Day can break up without breaking up and go
they've done that
separate ways.
so far.
And they've done that, and that's great. And I've always made the comparison. The New Day can be like the Avengers. When you need them together, they can come together, but they can go and do their own thing. It's time for Big E, if he has to be heel and go and do his own thing.
Yeah. So in the freakiest match coming up next, which is it's an interesting match in and of itself. You have, but I'm excited. It's interesting. It's weird, but I'm excited. You have the Fiend in his final form. I'm assuming his final form, all burnt and crispy like a melted marshmallow that he is. Versus versus Randy Orton, who at this point in his career is just having a lot of fun. I'm assuming at this point he's just having a lot of fun. I don't know how weird this match is going to be. I don't know if we're even going to put this match on in the ring. This might be a cinematic thing in front of a live crowd. Who the hell knows what they're going to do with this? Alexa Bliss is going to get involved, who is the glue to this whole feud, if we're being completely honest. Alexa Bliss is having the best time of her career. I'll argue that till the day I die. Like, this is a great version of Alexa Bliss. Randy Orton's having fun. He likes working with Bray. He did it years ago. As long as we just don't get WrestleMania 33 over again, we'll be perfectly fine. You know? Mr. YLP, what do you got?
Oh, WrestleMania 33, how much I just want to forget that matchup. That was just... not freaky would just be a nice way to say I didn't care about that matchup, and the wrong man won that one too. And for some reason, Bray Wyatt throughout his entire career in terms of WrestleManias hasn't really fared quite well, if I'm not mistaken. If the stats can back me up on that one. He has definitely not, and a lot of people, including myself, wanted to see great things from Bray Wyatt, even when he was WWE champion many moons ago. Even with the feud with Randy then. A lot of people, of course, rest in peace to Mr. John Huber himself, should have been involved in that wonderful triple threat that never was. Even then, I would have wanted to see Bray Wyatt do great things. This feud, or this iteration of it, has been the more interesting one. One of the more interesting versions of it between him and Randy, especially since the whole Inferno joint that we got a while back. That was wonderfully crispy.
The young kids these days would say that it's lit.
It was actually lit.
It was lit. It was very lit.
Literally. But yeah, this is going to be a very peculiar match, if I can take a word out of the English language. I expect this to be decent. I don't know what we're going to get out of this. I don't know if we're going to get worms. I don't know if we're going to see the Boogeyman come out and do some things. I don't know if we're going to see...
Honestly, the Boogeyman would be absolutely fantastic in this match. I would be...
Tell me. I expect WWE, I expect in the mail if that pops up. I would love to see Alexa Bliss straddle Randy Orton so we can get another Tim Orton tweet. because that was hilarious. I expect the unexpected with this match. I really don't have a horse in the race on this one. I expect this to be a very interesting matchup. I think if I had to choose, give me Bray with the victory just to get his revenge on Randy. I'm not saying we're going to set Randy on fire or anything of that matter, but if it's cinematic, that well, we should. But expect the unexpected with this matchup, and that's pretty much where I'm going to leave it.
Yes, what does your cat in the background have to say?
I apologize for my family and dog that just came through here. They just got home from the holiday. If you heard my predictions this past week, I was down on this match. And then yesterday, I had an idea and rebooked it in my head. And now, as long as this happens,
God.
Here's what I want to happen. So you're having this match. It's not great, but you're having this match. They're doing. You get bugs, you get worms, you get Alexa Bliss doing weird stuff, and then Randy Orton just finds a chair and he wallops Bray and he throws him off the stage through some big thing. And Randy thinks, and there's fire, and Randy thinks it's over, and then the Fiend rises up out of it.
Oh.
And Randy goes for the arcade, and the Fiend pushes him off, and Randy pulls the mask off, and it's filthy, haggard, burned John Cena having been pulled out of the realm. Now controlled by the Fiend, he hits TFU. The Fiend rises up again in his actual final form and eats that happens. I'm 100% for this match. If not, it's going to be terrible and I don't want to watch it.
You're setting the bar so high for that. So high.
I want that. I want that version. Can we get that?
That's what I want.
Can we?
If it happens, awesome. I want to check.
Can we have Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt fight on the pirate ship? Can we do that?
Impossible.
That's what it is. He throws him off the pirate ship. The pirate ship burns. John Cena comes out. It's perfect. It'll be great.
That's beautiful.
Otherwise, just not a whole lot.
I haven't heard of that.
Really be creative with this one. I think this could be one of the more creative matches we see on the card this coming weekend. I think this is just one of those things where you can really have a lot of fun with it. Really make it something to remember for 2021, albeit, so far it has been kind of depending on if you're, especially outside the world of professional wrestling. But hey, let's have a little fun with this one. This may be the blow off for all of it, and then Randy Orton just goes off and does whatever Randy Orton does, selling clothing with his clothing line or whatever, and let Bray Wyatt do some things. Be creative. Have a little thought about it. Really put something together that could really say, okay, this is the end between these two, but give us something that we can honestly remember when we get into Monday.
So we'll see what happens then. All right, now on to the main event of main events. We've been talking for a pretty long time here, which is perfectly fine, because I've enjoyed every moment of this. Absolutely, I really have. And I think we could do a war room off of this. So, it's just 300 episodes. So, I did a 200 episode for KOTR, and it was gruesomely long. But, hey, it is what it is. This is what happens when you have major milestones on a podcast performance. So you have the main event. You have Roman versus Edge versus Daniel Bryan, triple threat.
2014 all over again.
Triple threat for the Universal Championship. I, for one, when Daniel Bryan was added, couldn't have been more upset. I know they're trying to make Daniel the babyface and have lightning in the bottle strike twice, but that's the reason that it doesn't work. The Daniel Bryan run at WrestleMania 30 7 years ago was serendipitous. It was once in a lifetime. It could never be replicated. It could never happen again. And just like Edge said on SmackDown, him doing this makes him look like a prick and a little bitch. It does. Edge won the Royal Rumble flat out. He beat everybody. He went wire to wire. He even beat Daniel Bryan in the Royal Rumble. He beat everybody.
Very true.
He earned this by storybook and logic standpoints, kind of like how Bianca earned her title shot. The whole Daniel Bryan story, but they kind of started playing up on Talking Smack of him not having ambition, but him having to have ambition to I should deserve a title fight, but I made Roman tap out. Blah 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 blah. I was this close. I should win. I should be in. It's it's Daniel Bryan has become the Karen of wrestling right now.
Oh, damn.
Daniel Bryan has become the Karen, and honestly, I'm getting tired of. They're trying to make him the face. He's not the face in my book. I think it takes, in my opinion, this is totally my opinion. Roman aside, Roman has played his part perfectly. This is the best Roman I've ever seen. It's the Roman I've always wanted, to be completely honest. Man's fantastic. He's now the biggest name in one of the biggest names in wrestling right now. Edge, the story was about Edge. The story has always been about Edge. Man came back after being out of a ring for 10 years. He was in the Royal Rumble. He put on a no-holds-barred match at WrestleMania last year with Randy Orton, or Street Fighter, whatever it was. He put on, quote-unquote, the greatest wrestling match of all time with Randy Orton, couple of months later. Although I will say, it was a very good match. He came back and won the Royal Rumble. Like, the man can still go. I was excited for Roman and Edge, and I thought Daniel Bryan was overkill. I really thought I thought Daniel Bryan was like when they just added Charlotte Flair to the main event of WrestleMania 35. Does he deserve it? Maybe. But there wasn't a story there for Daniel Bryan this one. It's not there for me. I thought Edge and Roman were playing their parts perfectly, and you have this Daniel Bryan in. Is it exciting? Yes, it's Daniel, cool, yay, whatever, but it takes away the momentous occasion of Edge redeeming himself and winning the Royal Rumble. That's what it is for me. I'm excited for this match. Sure, LOL, Roman wins, as I used to say on my podcast. But I'm also one of those people who I like the traditional. Besides other extenuating circumstances, I enjoy the traditional one-on-one main event. That's me. I think that's where my preference goes a lot of the time. Unless you get like that Daniel Bryan, Batista, Randy Orton thing, which became like a big deal. I thought that was warranted. But in other times, if you can get one-on-one and the story wrote itself, which the story was writing itself, I think you do that. Be that as it may, no one listened to me. Adam Pearce put Daniel Bryan in there. It's going to be a great match. It's going to be fun. It's going to be weird. It's going to be a lot of shenanigans. Don't be surprised if Brock shows up and just decimates everybody. Either way, my only real prediction is Roman's walking away after his 5th main event at a WrestleMania with the title. Who wants to go for it? I don't know. YLP, man, somebody go at it.
Mance, I'll give it to you. I'm going to go along with mine.
All right, I disagree. I disagree with many things you said. Let's talk about them. One, Daniel Bryan's absolutely the babyface here. Daniel Bryan has done something that no one has done. He tapped out Roman Reigns. And yes, it wasn't recorded in the books. It wasn't a win. Edge cost him that. Edge is the Edge we wanted. He's the rated R. I can't do Chimmel. Superstar. He's the
without Tony Chimmel, it doesn't matter. He's not a rated R yet. I need Tony Chimmel to have him be rated R solidified.
Wow. Yes, he's not. He is not there. I mean, he's there to be the babyface. Edge is the heel. We needed heel Edge. Roman is the best Roman as a heel. So I disagree. Daniel Bryan is the babyface. He's got to be there. And unfortunately, for someone who loves Daniel Bryan like I do, they put Daniel Bryan in this match to eat this fall. Edge will be pinning Daniel Bryan in this match. They don't want to pin. They don't want to take. Yeah, there's my prediction. Edge is going to win this match. He's going to pin Daniel Bryan, and it may be a case of Roman spears Daniel Bryan. Edge spears Roman. Edge is speared not enough to put down Roman. Roman spear enough to kill Daniel Bryan. Edge pins Daniel Bryan. Edge walks away with the title. I see Edge completing this circuit again. He ran wire to wire in the Rumble. He deserves this title. I love Daniel Bryan. I mean, one of my favorite wrestlers working today, but he's here to get pinned by Edge and win this title. Roman can walk out and say, I was not beaten, and we can move forward to Roman and Edge probably at SummerSlam. Or if Brock's back here, we can have Roman and Brock do something for a little while. Edge runs through as champion and go from there. But Edge is going to win this title, and Daniel Bryan is the babyface that will be killed. It'll be exactly what Vince wanted to do in 2014. He'll do here in 2021.
Mr. YLP, take us home with this one.
You damn right I'm gonna take it home. Man, you are on the right track. I'll give you that. But you got the wrong man winning. You honestly do. That's not to say Edge winning the championship wouldn't be a wonderful WrestleMania moment. It would be quite glorious. A man that's damn near 50 winning the championship. 10 years away from the ring after a huge neck injury and all that wonderful, beautiful stuff. But I just cannot give Edge the Universal Championship.
It's an old man's title.
Okay, he's got you there. He's got you there.
And we ain't gonna do that. We not here. Fuck it. I'm opening that door. This ain't Goldberg. Okay, I have been one for quite some time, and I said it. I don't care. It's my show. I do it. I won't. But let's go back to a little bit to Goldberg when he won the Universal Championship. And I remember a certain episode of the Delight Show where someone to my right went on a beautiful, glorious tirade about a certain man that we're not supposed to say.
I just want to point out that was the last gift of the podcast. That was not a Delight Show. That was the last gift of the podcast.
Okay, that's a facts. My apologies. My bad.
But yeah, go ahead. It was 12 minutes of me screaming and cussing. I understand. Yeah, go for it.
Which, by the way, was absolutely freaking glorious. I played that twice and I loved it. You don't want me to go 12 minutes on Edge winning the championship. I love Edge. I do. I love his theme music. I love Metalingus from Alter Bridge, one of the greatest theme songs any one man could ever have in the industry. I'm just saying it ain't going to be Edge's night, my dude. Daniel Bryan inserting in this match makes sense to me because here's what is actually going to happen. Daniel Bryan gets that nice little bicycle knee to either one. Pick who you feel like. He can do it to Edge. Roman Spear to Daniel Bryan. Edge is still down. Roman goes over. You mean to tell me that Roman Reigns is not walking out of WrestleMania with that Universal Championship? The man has been
to, and I have.
The man, I understand. The man has been on a run that we as fans have been clamoring for years. 5 or 6 years, if my mind serves me right. This man has been on one of his best runs in the history of his career. I can see fans cheering for Roman at WrestleMania, even as the top heel in the company right now as we speak. Okay? There is no way on God's green earth that Roman Reigns is not walking out of WrestleMania 37 with that championship. You are probably, man, one of 2 people that I know in the entire world that are thinking Edge is going to win. And that's not a bad thing because that's not a bad prediction in and of itself. I promise you, if Edge wins, will I be shocked? Absolutely, I will be. But I think of it in terms of, and I'm going to go a little bit of an authority side. What's best for business? Roman Reigns as a heel right now is what's best for business. And let's go back a few matches ago. Big E Apollo, right? I have Apollo winning the Intercontinental Championship. You don't think Roman Reigns Big E at SummerSlam wouldn't be something that catch your eye?
I'll be honest with you. I predicted that as this Mania's WrestleMania main event at SummerSlam last year.
Because I would have loved to see
me
it.
Too.
And I would love to see it 1 year later at SummerSlam. Because that, to me, is a marquee matchup if you build up Big E. I'm not saying Big E's going to win the Universal Championship. I don't know if he's the guy. Who knows who's going to be the guy to take the thing off Roman. But I think right now, Roman is your guy. And you have a plethora of talent on the SmackDown roster that he still has to face. The conversation isn't over. The story will not end for Roman at WrestleMania 37. I say Roman is pinning Edge.
It's bold.
And we get Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns as your next big feud.
The proper.
It's the only way, to me personally, that makes sense out of everything. Because I've had that gut feeling. Edge winning the Royal Rumble, going wire to wire, wonderful moment for Edge. He deserved that. He honestly, truly deserved to have that moment out of everybody. And trust me, initially my mind was telling me, why would Edge win the Royal Rumble? You know? But then I sat back for a little bit and I thought about it. And I'm like, Edge deserved to have that. After being away so long and coming back and getting that Royal Rumble victory, he deserved to have that moment. But he doesn't need that WrestleMania moment to walk out with the Universal Championship. As much as I would love to see it happen, don't get it twisted. If he won, I'd be shocked, but I'd be happy for the man to take it. But right now, on the run that Roman has had, Jesse Owens hasn't even had a run this close.
He ran against the Nazis.
Okay? Facts. Roman needs to win at WrestleMania 37, solidify himself as not only the top heel in the company, as the man, the head of the table. Okay? Plus, I believe a certain Uso's still going to be coming back from a knee injury.
A bloodline, maybe.
I need that stable. I need the bloodline to happen. The Usos holding SmackDown Tag Team Gold, Roman holding the Universal Championship, Paul Heyman by his side. Those promos alone equal dollars. And then that also gives you that feeling of actual heel you hate, even though we love Roman as the heel. Think about that. Paul as the mouthpiece. Usos flanked by Roman. The head of the table. Pray Samoa Joe actually gets some run with this group. Praying to the wrestling god. Savage, bless me with this. There is more story to be told with Roman as champion than Roman without the belt. Roman pins Edge, retains the Universal Championship. Roman, Bryan, your next big feud. That's called money. And I believe Eric Bischoff knew a little something about making some dollars. So, yeah.
Oh, it's funny that you mentioned that controversy creates cash, as Eric Bischoff once so eloquently said. And there's one thing that we all haven't mentioned in this. It's the ultimate opportunist in this match, and I'm talking about Paul Heyman. There is nobody who takes more opportunity than Paul Heyman. At this point in Roman's career, does Roman need Paul? No. You know who does need Paul? Is the biggest draw in UFC history, and his name is Brock Lesnar. Do not be surprised if Paul Heyman pulls a Paul Heyman and realigns with Brock before this is all said and done. There's your money. Be it as it may, we don't know what's going to happen. WrestleMania is still about to start tomorrow. If we keep talking, it will be starting in and of itself. However, we do kind of have to wrap this up. And this, more importantly, is the 300th episode of the Young Lions Perspective. And for me, for myself, King Rickie Rozay, Kings of the Rings Podcast, GM of Wrestle Addict Radio, it has been an honor. It has been a privilege to share this episode with you, Mr. YLP. You know, I knew what I was getting into when I recruited you. I thought you were going to do great things, and you have done that. You have worked your tail off. It is very difficult at the height of what you were doing at the moment to put on one podcast a week, let alone, as Mance would say, a single-person podcast, and make it interesting and intriguing.
One-man booth.
Intriguing. You did it 3 times a week for almost a year, you know, before you're like, all right, maybe I should probably take some time for myself. You know,
Madman.
You know, you know. So it's.
I tried doing it twice at the beginning. It wasn't.
So you know about it.
You do.
Yeah. So this whole episode and all of this is just a nod to you and your hard effort and your work and your dedication to one, pushing out as much content as possible, trying to be on top of all of the wrestling news as much as you can, with still trying to live and be sane and take care of Mrs. YLP and go on vacations, and you're doing and you're holding together, and you haven't snapped yet, because I've had those conversations with you when you're almost snapping and we got you back from it. So so I'm happy that you are a part of it. See, I'm happy that you have hit 300. I guarantee you will probably make it to probably 600 probably by next year at the rate that you go, so that's all my 2 cents that I have. Mance, I don't know if you want to add anything else before we kick it back to Mr. YLP to close out this show.
I'm just going to do my typical closing up. I am the Monday Night Delight. You can, of course, hear me every Wednesday right here in Wrestle Addict Radio. You can follow me on Twitter at @Inman_Delight. I am back and better than ever, to quote one Eric Bischoff's music. And if that's not the opening theme to this week, I will eat. I have nothing on the desk to eat besides a microphone, and I need that. But just big congratulations. 300 episodes is amazing. I literally want to count up how many episodes I've done, and I still think you've done more than me. But thank you for having me on. It's been a blast. Congratulations. Take it away.
I swear to God, I'm trying to hold it together right now, because this honestly, I'm trying not to cry. I swear to God, on everything, I swear. If it comes out, it comes out. Fuck it. This honestly, right here, right now, at this very moment on April 9th, 2021, this is probably hands down one of the greatest moments of my life. In my 33 years of existence on this earth, as breathing, as forming the character, Mr. YLP himself. And I'm gonna bring, and Zach is literally talking to you guys right now, every single one of y'all, and that includes you, Rickie and Mance. 300 is something that, if you asked me on July 18th, 2019, I don't remember what day it was. That's how long I've been doing this stuff. So if you had asked me July 18th, 2019, if honestly, if you would ever get to 300, I honestly would laugh in your face and tell you are out of your damn mind. And to be able to do what I've done, to be able to just start doing this podcast on my off days, on working around my work schedule, and being able to do this show, and literally just talk about something I loved. I never expected to be in the position that I am, to be able to create the character of Mr. YLP himself, to be able to talk about the one thing that I knew I could relate to anybody else who has had a love for the sport. And yes, professional wrestling to me is a sport, because you do this like we do this year round. This is what we do. This is what we talk about. This is what they do in that ring 365 days a year. This is what we talk about 365 days a year. I've sacrificed birthdays. I've sacrificed a lot. Okay, I sacrificed many things to get into the position that I am in right now. To do this on not just audio, but now we're going to have this on YouTube.
Yeah, we are.
Okay. This is a culmination of everything that I have busted my ass to do. To be recruited by you, Rickie, and I'm talking to you as Rickie, not as King Rickie Rozay. And I'm not talking to you, Mr. Delight. I'm talking to you as Mance. When I got recruited into the Wrestle Addict Radio family, I didn't see it coming. Rickie, you know this. We talked about this this off air. I did not see this move coming. Being nominated for Newcomer of the Year from the Wrestling Radio Awards back in 2019, and just seeing that and knowing that my hard work paid off of that. And then you coming to me out of absolutely freaking nowhere, just sliding in my DMs like an IG thought, right? And wanting to talk to me and wanting to bring me into the fold. And then we talked. Then we talked again. And then you told me, we want to bring you into Wrestle Addict Radio. That, in that moment, knew I was doing something right. And I promise I'm trying to keep it together.
Yeah, it's your 300th episode. Do what you want to do.
You're good.
Yeah. Damn right I'm going to do what I want. I'm crying, bitch. It's my party. I cry if I want to. But this is literally one of the greatest moments of my life. And I mean that from the bottom of my damn heart. For every single person that has listened to this podcast, for every single person that has rocked with me since I became a member of the Wrestle Addict Radio family, I love every single one of you. I thank you. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. To Miss YLP for rocking with me since July of last year. All right? And for supporting my movement. To Mama YLP for supporting my movement. To Fretch, to Kay, to Will, to Nate for supporting me in my movement. This, hands down, in this very moment, is the greatest moment of my life. Because I get to do this with some of the best people I have yet to meet in person.
It's true.
But I was brought into the fold and they treated me like family. I was never treated as just some rookie that came into the fold. I was never treated as, just some outsider coming into the family. I was treated like family from day one. From January 6th, 2020, when I did my first episode with Wrestle Addict Radio. Yeah, I know my timeline, damn it. When I did my first episode, when Rickie gave me the intro.
Oh, yeah, that's right, I did.
Damn right you did. And it was glorious. I have never felt like an outsider to these people. I'm family now. And I love that feeling. There's no better feeling in the world than family, people.
Amen.
Okay? And even with we got going on with COVID, in this pandemic, family is what matters. To me, at least. The biggest thing in the world is family. Friends, your actual family, dog, cat, chicken, whatever you got. Family is most important. Real shit. Man knows what's up. But
oh yeah,
in these times, I know I don't just have my friends as my family. I don't just have my family as my family. I have a family here at Wrestle Addict Radio. And that to me means everything. For real. Okay? And that's the fact that I was able to get Mance here on his return week, the fact that I was able to get Rickie, hitting him up literally 2 weeks ago to do this. We literally threw this together for y'all. I texted Rickie and I was just like, yo, I want to do this for my 300 and I need Mance here. He's like, you got it. We can get this done. This man is the hardest working dude in the fam. Him and Kay, I swear on everything. Y'all are the two hardest working motherfuckers in the family. I know Will probably say something about that. And Fretch will too, but yeah, you are literally my man, the hardest working dude in the game right now. That. With everything that you do outside of here and everything you do when we do work. I appreciate you for bringing me into this family. Mance, with everything that you've gone through, because I lost my dad too. October 30th, 2020. I lost my dad to cancer. Real shit. Hardest day of my life. I was at work that day when I found out. And when I found out when your dad passed, that hit me hard too. And that's real. It hurt just as much. Because we family now. Okay? We family. You're my brother in arms, bro. Whatever you need, I got you. Real shit. Rest in peace, man.
Yeah.
This is not just Mr. YLP. This is Zach talking to y'all.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, people, yeah, we are King Rickie Rozay. We are Man Chapel. the Monday Night Delight. We are Mr. YLP, but at the end of the day, we are Rickie, Zach, and Mance. And we gone through some shit.
Mm-hmm.
We all have. I know you have too.
Oh yes,
listener, viewer. We gone through a lot, and to be sitting here on this couch for my 300th episode with my family in this moment, with what we got going on, means more to me than anything in this world. Okay? So what I need y'all to do, besides putting a like on this, giving it a listen,
please.
a 5-star,
all of that,
a top
all of
comment, okay? I want you to do this one thing for me, please. If you are not living with your family, if you are not anywhere in your family right now, you call them and you tell them you love them. Mm-hmm. You let them know how much you care about them, and you let them know you're here for them. Because we were here for Mance. Mm-hmm. They were there for me when Papa YLP passed. And this is also for Miss YLP too, because she lost her dad 2 months ago to cancer. Okay? And she's still grieving too. And it's hard. Especially since we don't live in the same state. It's hard. So in this time, y'all, be there for your family. Be there for your friends. Check in on them. Have a WrestleMania watch party this weekend.
Oh yeah, we got to do that.
You got to do that. You got to be there for your
people. I'll get on
it. Enjoy this moment. Enjoy what you have and be grateful for what you got right now. I am grateful for this 300th episode. Not only because I get to do this with my peoples and my family, but I get to do this for y'all. And that, in and of itself, is how you fucking in that 300th episode of the YLP podcast. You can find me on Twitter at YL Perspective. You can find me on Instagram at young_lions_perspective. Find me over on Facebook at Young Lions Perspective. All one word, or simply search for Young Lions Perspective Podcast. We have over 100 followers on that page. And I thank you guys so much for your continued love and support. You can find this podcast, of course, not only on ambiguouspodcastsolutions.com, freaking anchor.fm/Young Lions Perspective, anchor.fm/Wrestle Addict Radio. You can find it on all different platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, all that stuff. And, of course, that good old Spotify, fam. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy WrestleMania weekend. I got nothing else to say. Let's get out of here.
We're out of here, folks. See you next time.
Adios.